This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we started last week and we had the cloud introduction. We did not dig deep into the Azure platform or what is the benefits of Azure. So this week we will be focusing more on how Azure is much better compared to the other cloud platform, as well as we will discuss about the Azure deployment model plus subscriptions, support plan, and Azure specific details this weekend. Okay, so both Saturday and Sunday, we will be discussing more about fundamentals of Azure. So last week, we covered these four areas. We talked about cloud computing and its benefit. We talked about the cloud service model. We talked about the cloud deployment models. And we also talked about the important characteristics that makes the cloud. So these are the four important topics that we covered last weekend. Okay, so today we will be trying to cover as much as possible on the listed topics. What is Azure? Why we need to choose Azure, and a kind of walkthrough on Azure portal. And we'll also talk about Azure support plans and subscription. And we'll also talk about Azure Resource Manager, followed by Azure geographical presence. Okay, so okay, okay. Let's start with why we need to go with Azure. Okay, and most of you know that Microsoft has branded.
Oh, voice is breaking, sir.
Okay, is it for everyone? My voice is. Okay, let me just. No, there shouldn't be any
You
challenges.
understand?
Maybe.
For me, it's done. For me, it's fine.
Okay, then
For me
you have
also
to
it's fine.
reconnect.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
then.
me
Okay,
also
okay.
it's fine.
Okay, perfect. So, see, Microsoft has branded their cloud service platform as Azure, and historically, like it used to have a different name. Okay, it used to have Windows Azure. When Microsoft introduced this cloud service platform, they named it as Windows Azure Platform, and that was in 2010, right, when they launched this cloud services platform. Initially, Microsoft decided to sell as much of their products and offering, like right, Microsoft has been in the IT services market for a very long time, and they have got a lot of different products which is successful. For example, SCOM as a monitoring tool, it was very popularly used, and SECM, which is a kind of patching tool now known as Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. And we also have System Center Data Protection Manager for backup. So these are all very successful product from Microsoft, which has been used in the on-premises data center management for a very long time. And now these products which I have listed on the right is also being used for a hybrid model. Like these products can be used to monitor or patch a system or backup a system that is on the premises as well as on the public cloud. So they thought like they will try and sell as much of their products and portfolio, and that's why you can see a branding of Windows here. So Windows is their operating system, right? Microsoft's operating system name. So they branded it as Windows Azure, but then it was not moving as per their expectation or whatever as per their anticipation. It did not take a lead. But then a lot of customers were asking like, why not allow us to create some open source Linux operating systems, or have a lot of different open source products to monitor, backup, patch, and all those things. So a lot of what lot of feedback was received by Microsoft by the by different customers, and then they started thinking in an open source agile model so that they can try and adopt customers as per their interest area. See, when Amazon started this business in 2006, they had Amazon Web Services, prior to which they were not into the IT market or IT services market. They were a book selling company, or they were having different online model experience, but then they did not have any experience in managing any IT related environment, or they did not have that level of exposure as that of Microsoft. But then, but still, Amazon was successful because they accepted any platform or any operating system, or they were agnostic at various level, at the product level, at the operating system level, or whatever services. They did not um, direct customers, or they did not advise customers to take a particular path. So whatever customer wants to achieve, they were supporting them, they were supporting their ideologies or the framework. So Microsoft took a lot of feedback from different customers, and then after Satya Nadella took over the cloud portfolio, he rebranded and renamed Windows Azure to Microsoft Azure. So that is when Microsoft started accepting different operating systems, non-Windows operating systems. It can be different Linux flavor of operating system, and they started accepting different products, open source products on their cloud services platform. So after 2014, it started getting a lot of customer base, and like now in the last quarter, Microsoft has got 2.5 to 3 times much more cloud revenue compared to AWS. So quarterly update was released, I think last week. The quarterly release was, quarterly update was released. AWS has got a 12% revenue increase, whereas Azure has got close to 34% revenue increase, which is multifold compared to AWS. And similarly, Google and Oracle are also doing better compared to AWS. But AWS is still the market leader in the public cloud services platform, especially in the infrastructure as a service market and platform as a service market. But if you are putting together Microsoft's revenue in Office 365 or Microsoft 365 and their Microsoft suite of products like their operating system and others, Microsoft is the largest revenue making company in the cloud platform. But when it comes to AWS, infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, AWS has got is still the market leader. Okay, but Microsoft Azure is not too far from getting into that, but there is a gap between AWS and Azure in these two offering. But if you compare, if you put together infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, especially, Microsoft has got a lot of customer base even before Microsoft. Amazon came into this business. They have a lot of customers using their .NET applications, database like Microsoft SQL database, Windows operating system, and Microsoft Office product, and so on. So and now the Microsoft Office is available online as Office 365 are now rebranded as Microsoft 365. That is widely used, and they have a very huge revenue on that. So if you put together all the three service model together, Microsoft is the leader. But if you talk about infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, then Amazon is the public cloud leader even as on date. But if you look at the last quarterly revenue, Microsoft is kind of getting a lot of customer base, a lot of migration is happening. There is a couple of reasons for that. See, Amazon has done a lot of migrations maybe 5-6 years back. If you look at Amazon's revenue in 2014-15, when Microsoft was just trying to get into the market, Amazon has got 30% or 40% revenue increase quarter on quarter. At that time, they were doing a lot of rehosting. So rehosting means it's a kind of lift and shift migration of operating systems or servers from on-premises data center to cloud data center. So for Amazon, this is little reduced now. The reason is they have already migrated a lot of workload to AWS, and whatever they are currently doing is app modernization. They are trying to containerize the existing workload from EC2 to ECS or EKS or different portfolio. So there is a lot of modernization and containerization work that is going on in Amazon cloud platform. Whereas in Azure, even as on date, there is a lot of rehosting and re-platform that is happening. Don't worry about these technical terms. Okay, I'll explain those in details. But just a kind of information, the takeaway is that Azure, Microsoft Azure is growing quarter on quarter. So in maybe like next 3 or 4 quarters, Microsoft will be leader in even infrastructure as a service and platform as a service market, because there is a lot of rehosting and replatforming happening in the last 2-3 years. Okay, and that is the reason Microsoft Azure is being learned by different engineers from different geographical region. Okay, so now um, Microsoft has rebranded their Azure platform from Windows Azure to Microsoft Azure in 2014, where they become OS agnostic, platform agnostic, and even tools agnostic. They started accepting all open source product, and now in Microsoft Azure Marketplace, if you go and check, they have all the version of Linux that is being offered by Amazon and other public cloud provider. So now you can go and run your application on any Linux flavor that you want to run. So it supports as much as wide range of operating system flavors like what Amazon, Google, and Oracle is supporting. Okay, so other than this, over the period, Microsoft Azure, this is their public cloud platform, right? So they also want to have some customers who are all not able to migrate to the public cloud platform. See, not all the regions, all the countries has got option to go into public cloud. There are certain countries where there are legal requirements where they cannot migrate to public cloud, and there are some compliance requirement, security requirements where they won't allow you to migrate to public cloud. And for such cases, they also need to have a kind of cloud experience in their own data center, and Microsoft is enabling the private cloud through their product called Azure Stack. And even there are two reasons why we need private cloud, right? Number one reason is that maybe the public cloud offering or public cloud doesn't have a region or presence in that location, because like in Middle East, if you look at, there are only very minimal countries where public cloud offering is available, and there are certain legal compliance security requirements which doesn't allow the customer to migrate to public cloud offering, because we are moving to someone else data center. That is not allowed for certain application, and those application has to remain in their own data center where they have private access, complete control of the infrastructure. So Microsoft is also offering Azure Stack, which is their private cloud product. I'll give you a kind of um, detailed view on which product is adopted very quickly and what is the ratio or what is the comparison with the other products. I'll go through that maybe after the tea break. But now, um, Microsoft's cloud service platform is known as Microsoft Azure, and that is what we are going to discuss for the next 2.5 to 3 months. Okay, so private cloud product is Azure Stack. I'll give you some briefing. I'll give you some understanding of what it is, and even the other providers like AWS, they also have their private cloud offering, which is called AWS Outposts. Okay, which is similar product like Azure Stack. So last week we were talking about cloud characteristics, right? So if you want to experience the cloud offering or the cloud way of working in your own physical data center, then you need to implement Azure Stack or AWS Outpost or OpenStack or any product like VMware, vRealize Suite or products and so on. Okay, so Microsoft, this is definitely evolving very quickly, and they will be a market leader in all the different service model very soon. Maybe in next 1 year or 1.5 years, definitely they will be the market leader in all the segment. Okay, so the second important point that I want to explain is the hybrid capabilities that they have. Since I've already listed their suite of products here, they have enabled hybrid capabilities with their product. So whatever product that is listed here, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager or monitoring SCOM or SEDPM, even their virtual machine manager, which is like the vCenter in VMware, right? So all these products can both monitor, patch, backup, and manage the virtual machines on their premises, on your own data center, as well as in the public cloud. So they have got hybrid capabilities and they've got better integration. So better integration, you can think of integration of the product suite with your operating system or with your virtual machine, as well as it has got better integration with ITSM suite of products. See, in your organization, you might be using ServiceNow or Remedy or different products for doing the incident management, problem management, change management, and so on. So with ITSM products, all these tools, whatever has been listed here, if you are monitoring, all the alerts has to be sent to the ITSM tool, right? For event management and even for issue handling, you have to direct all the alerts and monitoring tickets to a particular ticketing platform where the support team can take the ticket and work on it, right? So it has got very good integration, all these products, including Microsoft Azure. All the products and services offered within Azure platform can be monitored, can be configured for alerting and notification, and it has got a lot of APIs which can be easily configured. You don't have to spend a lot of time in configuring a lot of metrics, a lot of integration. Nothing is, I mean, it's quite simple. You'll get to understand that when we discuss about monitoring patching at a later stage. And why we need to choose Azure, or why we need to choose Microsoft to start with. See, Microsoft, as I told you, they have got at least 35 to 40 years of experience in giving IT related products or managing data centers. And people will be thinking, why Microsoft need to have data centers across the globe, right? See, they are the one next to IBM. Okay, IBM has got much more experience compared to Microsoft. IBM has data center management experience since early 1950s, but then Microsoft started later, but then they have close to 40 years of experience in managing the data centers. And Microsoft has their products, right? Their operating system, Microsoft Windows, and they have got server operating systems, server edition, and they also have the desktop edition for your laptops, desktops, and so on. And also you have a mobile operating system, right? So Microsoft has to provide patches to all the server operating system running across the globe, and also for your laptops, desktops, it has to provide the patches, and also for the mobile operating system. And how do they provide those patches to all the end users? I know, like maybe you might be thinking your organization might have your own version of SCCM or Intune, or you might be having other third-party patching products from IBM or different companies, right? But then this is for your internal corporate patches or patch handling. But then Microsoft has to manage the end users. For example, I'm connected from my laptop at home. And similarly, there will be a lot of laptops which are connected directly to the internet. So for those, Microsoft has to provide the patches, they have to monitor, they have to do license management, they have to do compliance management, and so on. And how they have been establishing that is by having server rooms, data centers across the globe. So Microsoft did not start creating data centers just for Azure. They had a lot of data centers across the globe, even 20, 25 years back, because they have to manage their products, Microsoft Office or Microsoft Windows operating system, or even they had Microsoft SQL databases, and they had their .NET platform where applications were developed. So all these products has to be managed, either it is programming or database or office or operating system. All these products and services has to be regulated or managed by, governed by Microsoft. So they had data centers across the globe. Only thing is, in some of the region, some of the country, they had done some expansion of their data center, but then they had data centers almost in all the locations. That is why Microsoft was able to catch up very quickly into this market. See, they made a small mistake, because like when they started this, they should have been an open source. By this time, Microsoft should have been a leader in all the areas. So they gave some room for Amazon to grow their uh, clients, and they had taken that advantage. See, when in around 2010 or 11 time, Microsoft data center was not as huge as Amazon data center. In 2011 to 12, I would say, Amazon's data center size across the globe was 3 to 4 times bigger than all the other competitors. When I say all the other competitor, it includes companies like IBM, HP, Microsoft, and other customers. So Amazon has invested a lot of money for the first 5 to 6 years in just building data centers, expanding data centers, adding different technology devices, and so on. So Amazon invested a lot of money during the first 5 to 6 years, And during that time, they did not reveal that they are investing such a huge amount of money in data center, in the data center. So they just revealed that in 2011, and when they revealed it, Amazon's data center was 3 to 4 times bigger than all the other competitors put together. IBM plus HP plus Microsoft, all their data center size put together, it was 3 to 4 times smaller than Amazon's landscape. So, but then now, if you ask me, like, what is the current situation? Almost Amazon and Microsoft has got similar sizing of data center across the globe, and it was delayed, and that's the reason you are seeing Microsoft Azure is growing very recently, and it gave some initial 6 to 8 years to Amazon to grow their platform. Okay, sorry, I have to mute someone. Okay, now, so Microsoft has got a lot of experience. The reason I say all these things, Microsoft data center management or the data center governance ability is top notch compared to Amazon. But you cannot compare it with the IBM or HP. IBM and HP as a data center management companies, they were also having similar experience, but now we are comparing the top two cloud providers, right? If you compare with Amazon, Microsoft has got a lot of data center management experience, and they know whom to reach, how to get a particular compliance certification, and so on. So as on date, Microsoft has got 95 plus compliance certification. When I say compliance certification, different application has to run on Microsoft Azure data center. So if you talk to banking or finance industry, they will ask like whether the data center that they want to run is payment card industry data security standard compliant. It is definitely compliant. And similarly, if a customer from healthcare wants to run their business application, they will ask whether it is HIPAA compliant. Similarly, automobile industry will ask whether you are SOC compliant or ISO compliant, and so on. So different industry vertical for their business application, for privacy reasons or for legal reasons, they will expect some kind of compliance certification from Microsoft data center. So Microsoft has got the widest range of compliance certification for their data center. So they are close to 95 plus compliance certification across the globe. In some data center, you might see plus or minus, because some regions, there are certain regional certification and there are certain certification which are global in nature. Maybe I'll make use of the slide here just for a second to make you understand what I'm talking about. So let me just cover that compliance point here. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So here, if you look at these certifications, these are all some industry standard where they have a organization, they go and do some kind of auditing, they go and do some kind of regulation analysis on a particular data center. So Microsoft Azure has got these kind of compliance coverage across most of their data center. See, if you look at here, we are mostly, most of the attendees are from India, right? So here in India, if the Indian government want to run their business application, they will be looking for this MATI certification. So it is mainly an IT related certification developed by the Ministry of IT from India. So if the Indian government application has to run, they will look for the Indian MATI thing. Similarly, there are different certification. For example, some people are joining this call from Singapore, right? So Singapore MTCS is the certification, and that too you can see level 3 certification only in Microsoft data center. So that is the kind of most comprehensive and most important certifications. If you talk to some customers in Singapore, they will ask like whether there is MTCS certification. Similarly, if you talk to some customers in different regions like Spain or in European locations, they might ask about GDPR, they might ask about specific certification listed here. So you have to be aware of what kind of certification. You need not be aware of all the things on top of the mind, but then if you are trying to connect to a particular meeting from a particular region or a particular country or particular location, you can try to understand what is their expectation, where they are going to run their business application, and you can try to understand what kind of compliance certifications are being offered in that particular location, so that you can also explain that Microsoft has got a data center in that particular location, which is compliant with PDPA or whatever, like MITI or MTCS and so on. So these are all some regional certifications, and these are all some industry specific certification. For example, as I told you, in banking sector, some of their banking application will have credit card transaction, and you should not assume that all the application that belong to banking is PCI compliant. It's not like that. Some of the business application within finance industry or payment within banking industry need not be PCI compliant. See, only when your application has to integrate it with credit card transactions and so on, it has to be PCI standard compliant. Not all the application belonging to finance or banking need not be PCI compliant. Some need to be, some need not be PCI compliant. So you need to understand what kind of applications and what kind of compliance they are expecting, and you can try and cover those application to run on the specific data center where it has got the industry standard. See, most of the industry standard compliance requirement is covered by Microsoft. Similarly, if you are talking to specific government entities, US government will talk about FedRAMP, the Department of Defense will talk about these DISA related certifications. So all these certifications are covered by Microsoft. So this is not the complete comprehensive list, but they have got 95 plus compliance certification across the globe in each and every data center. So I'll give you the link where you can go and learn more about specific locations and specific privacy regulations that are being met. So if you are talking to a particular customer, their business application have to run on a particular country or a particular region, and similarly it might have to be legally compliant to specific industry regulatory requirements. So you need to understand that. And sorry, just a second, is there a question? Okay, so you can try and ensure that that particular legal compliance requirement is being met by that particular data center, so that you can help the customer migrate their application. Now, this is a very important point, right? And the next important point I'll talk about is the portability option that they provide. So when I say portability, you might have your organization might have invested in a lot of licenses. For example, you might have a lot of Microsoft Windows licenses or Microsoft SQL database licenses and so on. So if you have a lot of licenses which you have recently purchased, you can bring those licenses to cloud. You can bring your licenses to Microsoft Cloud. So only thing that you need to be aware of about this particular portability process is the software assurance. If your licenses have software assurance, you can easily migrate them, or you can port their usage to public cloud. If you don't have software assurance, you have to talk to Microsoft and ensure that you have the software assurance bundle enabled for your licensing purchase. So there are some restrictions that you need to be aware of. For example, certain licenses which you might have bought before 5 years, 6 years might not have that particular licensing element enabled. So you need to talk to Microsoft, understand whether the existing licenses have that software assurance. If not, then you have to apply for that, and you can start migrating those licenses to public cloud. So if you have some unused licenses in your on-premises data center, because you are migrating your servers to cloud, right? So automatically the existing licenses will get released, and if you want to use them in the public cloud platform, you can definitely use them in Microsoft Azure. So the portability is there for both operating system as well as for your databases. Okay, so just a quick check. I see some chat saying that my voice is not clear today. Is it for everyone? I see Venkatesh has mentioned that.
Clear for us.
It's clear, right?
For
Okay, maybe, yeah, okay. So Venkatesh, you might
Yes,
have to rejoin.
here.
Perfect. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so next important point that I want to talk about is the branding. Okay, so Microsoft as a brand has got a lot of trust, right? They have been they have got a lot of experience in having client relationship. A lot of enterprise customers have got legal relationship or like kind of um, enterprise agreement with Microsoft for more than 20, 30 years. See, Microsoft has got different products that they have offered. So when they go and sell this product, what they generally do is they get into a kind of agreement. Or they generally call it as enterprise agreement. And Microsoft, unlike Amazon or other providers like Google, Microsoft has got a lot of client relationship management. Okay, so they have got a lot of lot of clarity on whom to reach. And for example, if you talk about the Fortune 100 companies or Fortune 500 companies, even before Microsoft started Azure business, they had 90% of the Fortune 100 companies or 92% of the Fortune 500 companies were already Microsoft customers. They have been using some of these products. So Microsoft knows whom to reach, how to make their business, how to expand their business into the cloud platform and so on. So it's pretty easy for them. Whereas compared to Amazon and Google, they have to prove, they have to find out whom to reach, and only then they can expand their business. But then Microsoft as a brand, they've got a lot of trust from the customers because they have been giving different products for business usage like Microsoft Office or Office 365 or even Microsoft SQL database and the .NET programming platform. All these are being used by different customers, and it has been proven as a success. It is being used for running a lot of business enterprise applications for different regional customers. Right, so that is another thing where Microsoft can easily expand their enterprise agreement. It's just an amendment that they need to do. Unlike Amazon or Google, Microsoft has already got an enterprise agreement, so they just have to go and say this existing customer will start using Microsoft Azure Stack or Microsoft Azure platform for running their application. It's mainly like amendment of the existing enterprise agreement. They're not going to sign a kind of completely new. So all the Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 companies, they have already have got a lot of relationship management with Microsoft, and that is a very big advantage for Microsoft. And another important point that I want to talk here is about the comparison of running these product. Okay, so I'll talk about the advantage first. So if you look at here, Amazon AWS is 5 times more expensive than Microsoft Azure for running Windows Server and SQL Server workload. See, definitely that will be higher in cost. The reason is that Amazon as a provider, they are reseller of Windows operating system and SQL databases. They are not owning that product. They have to get it from Microsoft, and they have to kind of allow the customer to use it, and then they get only margin of benefit from that. See, ideally, if you compare this particular thing in a different way, there won't be a huge difference. But then, if you are comparing Windows Server on Azure versus Windows Server on AWS, definitely it is 5 times cheaper in Microsoft. Similarly, if you're talking about SQL databases on Azure and SQL databases on Microsoft SQL database on AWS, it is much cheaper in Microsoft. But if you compare the other way around, for example, if you are comparing Microsoft SQL database on MS Azure versus Aurora database, which is Amazon own database, right? On AWS, it won't be that different. There won't be much of a difference because Amazon is the product owner for Aurora, which is a kind of database, relational database offered by Amazon in their marketplace. If you are comparing these two, there won't be such a huge difference. There will be significant, there will be minor difference, but it won't be as different as here. Similarly, if you are comparing Microsoft Windows on Microsoft Azure versus Amazon Linux version 2 on AWS, it will be much on the same line. Okay, there won't be much difference. But then, see, I don't want to act as a pre-sales guy, or I don't want to talk too much high on Microsoft, but still, there is some reality to this particular slide. See, if you talk about some existing customers who are already using Microsoft Windows for their business application and Microsoft SQL database for their business application, and they want to continue that, then definitely making a choice between Amazon and Microsoft is going to be Microsoft taking an advantage because of the product being owned by Microsoft, and then they have the direct vendor management. They can give you the full support and all those stuff. Okay, so but if you have an existing set of application which are currently running on Microsoft suite of products, then it's wise to migrate it to Microsoft compared to AWS. But if you are a new customer, if you're a startup, if you want to decide between Microsoft and Amazon, then you can compare it in this way, and then you can decide, unlike what I have highlighted here. But this is true. This is a very true fact for existing customers who want to get into Microsoft or Azure, Microsoft or Amazon platform. If you are going to continue with Windows operating system and SQL, Microsoft SQL database, then it is always good to run it on Azure platform because of the cost. And second point, Microsoft offers free extended security updates. Okay, so let me add this point here. So cost is 5 times cheaper for Microsoft Windows and Microsoft SQL database on Azure compared to AWS. Okay, and then the next point is the security updates. See, if you are currently running Windows 2008 or 2008 R2 or the SQL 2008, these are all end of life product from the vendor, which is Microsoft. Microsoft has already announced these are all end of life product. But then if you are running these products on Microsoft Azure cloud platform, public cloud platform, they have got still extended security update. They are still providing you security update. When a particular product is reaching end of life, the biggest problem is you won't get the security updates, right? If you are not getting security updates, your application is getting vulnerable. Your application will be very sensitive towards any security issues that is going around. So you won't get security updates for the end of life product. But if you are running Windows 2008 or 2008 R2 or Microsoft database versions on Microsoft Azure cloud platform, then you have some extended security updates. I think it is also going to get completed very soon, but still you have that advantage. So extended security updates is available for the products which are already end of life in your own data center. If you're running it on your own data center, there are certain Fortune 100 companies or Fortune 500 companies. They have purchased a separate support plan and they are getting extended security updates. But it is a very costly affair to get extended security update on your own platform. And Microsoft is offering only for selective customers, not for all enterprise customers. And very important thing, if you are still having your application, business application running on Windows 2008, see, there is a reason why they do that. When in around 2008 or 2008 R2, this is when the platform has got revamped, right? So most of you know, right? At this point of time, the operating system was 32-bit, even your application was running on 32-bit and so on. And completely after 2008 R2, starting 2012, 12 R2, in 12 R2, 2016, it was all 64-bit operating systems. And if you want to completely migrate your application from 32-bit to 64-bit, there is no in-place upgrade possible. You cannot do an in-place upgrade of 32-bit OS to a 64-bit OS. So you have to create a separate server. You have to re-architect your application. You have to spend a lot of money in development. So Microsoft understands that complication pain, and then they are giving you more time to invest money on architecting your application, because your application has to be developed in 64-bit platform in order to run on a 64-bit operating system. So there is a huge investment that has to come from the customer. So Microsoft is giving you extended security updates, and they are also giving you 3 to 5 more years where you can do the investment and completely convert your applications from 32-bit to 64-bit. I know like 2008 is 15 years behind I mean, it is 15 years past, right? But still, there are a lot of business applications still running on 32-bit. Okay, that is a true fact. Okay, because they don't have the budget to convert it, or they are either comfortable with running that application on the same operating system platform. It has been running like that, or they have been using, or they have been used to that. So that is the reason they are still not coming out of it. But if you are migrating your legacy operating systems and databases, Microsoft gives you extended security benefits. That is the important point you have to take away from here. And the next important point is around the security. Again, I'll compare one more, complete one more point. Microsoft has got their own identity and access management platform, right? Microsoft Active Directory. It has been a very successful product for the last 25 years. Okay, it has been in existence since Windows 2000, or even prior to that, they had Windows NT with LAN account manager, or they had identity and access management for last 25 years. And Active Directory especially has been very successful in identity and uh, access management, or centralized security management. So now this platform has been extended to be used on both Microsoft public cloud as well as in your on-premises. If you are using Active Directory, okay, I've just mentioned Microsoft Azure Directory. Instead, it is Microsoft Active Directory, and even Microsoft Azure has got its own AD flavor. Okay, we'll talk about this during the Active Directory session. We have a dedicated week on Active Directory. We will talk in details, but for identities and access management, they have got a product which is very popular, and it is a proven product along with the group policy management. It is widely used, widely adopted. A lot of business applications are authenticating using Active Directory platform, both on-premises offering as well as the Azure Active Directory platform. So this is another important point, I would say. And let's see if we have got anything more in this. Okay, I'll talk about these reserved instance and all those things later. Let's not go into that.
And
Yeah, go ahead. If there is a question, please ask.
yeah, yeah. See, actually, you mentioned the security, extended security update for Windows 2008 SQL, right? For 32-bit OS. So, which is applicable only for cloud, or even in on-premises also they have been extended the security updates.
Okay, so as I highlighted, Surinder, it's not for the general public. General public, whoever is using the end-of-life operating system, it is already unsupported. It is no more security updates for those products. And since I'm working for a service provider, I know certain companies have made some kind of a relationship based on their vendor relationship management. They have got some extended security updates on a case-to-case basis from Microsoft directly. They are paying a lot of money to Microsoft in order to get that extended security updates. There are very few customers who are able to get that. Okay, so I won't say Microsoft is not giving for all the on-premises customer. There are certain customers who are still getting extended security updates, but they have to pay a lot of additional amount to get that. And by default, if you ask me whether extended security updates are available for end-of-life operating system in your own data center, answer is in general no. But in case-to-case basis, you might see some customers getting security updates based on their enterprise agreement, and they are paying a lot of amount to get that.
Okay, so in that case, it is applicable for on-premises, even for the
Yeah.
limited customers, and as well as for cloud also, they need to pay that, right?
Yeah, for cloud, it's not a hefty amount for now, because see, they at the end they know, right? So see, I'll tell you the number here. So there is a big amount of operating system that are still running in 32-bit. There are a lot of they know how many operating systems are used across the globe, right? So they have a good amount of number which they know that still customers are using 32-bit operating systems, and they are running on 32-bit applications. So by giving free security updates on the Microsoft Azure cloud platform, okay, they are trying to bring all those customer base to Microsoft Azure. It's not a huge amount in Microsoft Azure. It's only extra charges for your secure specific customers on premises only.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. See, they at the end they want those products and services to migrate to Microsoft Azure rather than going to Oracle or Amazon. If you are going to Oracle or Amazon, no support. There is clearly no support. If you are migrating your 32-bit Windows 2008 or SQL 2008 to Amazon or Oracle or Google, there is no support. There is no extended security updates from Microsoft.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
But they are providing it at no additional charge in the public cloud platform, especially on the Azure platform. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is applicable
Um,
across the board for 2008 enterprise data center standard or even without Hyper-V. All the products are covered, even Hyper-V, even high performance computing operating system. Microsoft used to have a lot of different flavors at that time. Even you might have heard about Microsoft Storage Server and a lot of different products, a lot of different variants used to be there. So all these products are covered. Yeah, go ahead. If there is a question, yeah, please ask.
yes, Tom. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See, it's a very basic question. Like you were mentioning, Microsoft Windows on MS Azure and Amazon Linux is most probably the same cost. So if you
No.
choose Microsoft in Azure Linux, no, then it will be very cheaper, right? Then how the customer is choosing? I mean, the way customer is choosing AWS instead of Azure. Whether if you are getting 5 times of cheaper in all the products, then still why they are choosing AWS?
Okay, Manikandan. See, that's a good question. See, there are startup customers. Okay, there are small to mid-sized customers. We can call it as SMB business, small mid-sized business. There are enterprise customers, and there are very large enterprise customers, right? And for startup, they are just developing their business application. They have the choice to choose between Linux or Windows. They can go either ways, so they can understand what kind of programming or what kind of development platform they are going to use. If they are going to use .NET, they have to either use, I mean, they have to mostly use Microsoft. If they are using Python, if they are using PHP, or if they are using different programming platform, they have the wide range of operating systems that they can choose. But then if you talk about small to medium sized businesses, they are already running their business application for some time. Okay, maybe last 10 years or last 15 years or last 20 years, and for which their business applications are currently running on either Microsoft operating system or Unix operating system or Linux operating system. If it is running on Unix or Linux, it is straightforward. They can migrate those workload to either Microsoft Azure platform or Amazon platform. It is like 50-50, like both of them are equally charged. I mean, their cost is not very different, so they can choose between them. But for enterprise customer, where they have a lot of Microsoft workload, if you talk about customers who are already using hundreds of Microsoft servers or Microsoft operating system and databases, then obviously their choice will be to run on Microsoft Azure because it is 5 times cheaper. See, I'm not talking about startup companies here. If you're talking about startup, then definitely there is a lot of choice. If you're talking about SMB business, there is a lot of choice. But Microsoft is targeting the Fortune 100, the Fortune 500, where they are already running business for 100 years, 200 years, and so on. Okay, I told it is five
Thank you.
times cheaper on Azure platform compared to AWS. Yeah, it is cheaper in fact. Yeah, but comparing these two, yeah, whatever you said is kind of right. Amazon Linux on AWS might be cheaper compared to MS Windows on Microsoft Azure, but Microsoft doesn't want to lose that business, so they are giving it for competitive price. There is licensing involved, but still they want to give it for a competitive price in order to get that business. Okay, it is almost like free. Microsoft Windows is kind of almost like free on Azure platform because it is not an open source, but still they are trying to give it for a very competitive price to get that business. Okay, so
Okay, thank
any
you.
other question?
One question
Yeah,
on
Yeah,
go ahead.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
how about the Aurora daily skills?
Animal, your voice is. I'm not here
Breaking
to
up.
you. Yeah, it's breaking. Now it is clear. Go ahead.
Okay. So how about the Aurora DB skill set in the market when we are trying to convert from or migrate from SQL to Aurora DB?
Mm-hmm.
We get a right skill set
So
of people or the resource there.
okay, okay, Animal.
That
So
itself will be
maybe
costlier, right?
Correct. See, there are two things, right? Um, okay, so the question is slightly deviating, but still I'll quickly take 1 or 2 minutes to answer that. But for people who are not able to follow that, just don't worry, because like I'm just trying to answer it for Nimal. Okay, see, database migration services or tools for database migration is being offered by all the public cloud provider like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Everyone has their own database migration product, and there are certain tools which gives you homogeneous migration option. When I say homogeneous, you will be migrating from Microsoft SQL to Microsoft SQL, and then Oracle to Oracle, or Postgres to Postgres, and so on. Similarly, there are tools which supports heterogeneous migration. For example, if you want to reduce the cost, you can migrate from Oracle to Postgres or MySQL, and so on. So there are certain migration which is tool driven, which is very straightforward. But then there are certain cases where we need to have a kind of specific skill set who understands the database schema and so on. And then we have to involve on certain complex migration. People have to have very good understanding on the source database as well as the destination database in order to get that migrated through a manual process. But most of the migration that customer will take is through the tooling, where we have got a database migration service. I'll also show you a lab or a demo on how you can migrate from on-premises database to Azure database, or on-premises database to public cloud database. So there is a practical session on that. You will get to see that. But to your question, yeah, so if you are doing a complex migration, or if you are doing a kind of manual migration, there is a lot of skills that is needed in order to convert the schema, in order to convert the data to be compatible with the destination database. And the skills are definitely in demand, in especially in the global market. But in India now, I think it is see, there is a lot of cross skilling that is happening, right? Especially there is a lot of people getting trained in different flavors, different cloud platform. And now I think a lot of big organization has got enough people, but it is still a scarcity in the global market, not in Indian market.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. It
No
was not
problem.
related only to DB, but I'm
Yeah.
asking in general. Instead of MS as
Yeah.
MS, Microsoft, if you are going towards Amazon, that type
Mm.
of tools, like you told about Aurora, you told about the
Mm.
Linux. If the Linux is
Yeah.
completely different, also they need to have the same skill set, right?
True.
That skill set will be a little bit costlier. That's what I was asking. You confirmed it. Thanks.
Yeah. See, I'll give you one more example on how Indian market is dealing with that. See, if you take IBM as a company, what they did 10 years back, they built a team called Migration Factory, or they call it as Migration, what is that? Cloud Migration Factory is one name. I think different organization has different names for that. But at a high level, lot of organization, they know they have to do a lot of data migration, server migration, database migration, and even virtual desktop migration. They have to get involved. And what they did is they developed migration center of excellence. Not IBM alone, even HP did that. Companies like HCL, TCS, everyone has got their own migration specific skilled resources, and they are also certified skilled partners for migration with Amazon and Microsoft. So a lot of organization has developed a kind of migration centric tower, or a migration team which is skilled on specific migration related methodologies, tools, products, and approach, framework, and so on. So that is how Indian market is very smart, and they have dealt the situation 10 years back. Okay, so these teams has been formed even 10 years back itself. But in global market, yeah, they did not have such a regulation to have people with specific migration skills. But here in India, it's like I would say companies like TCS, IBM, and similar companies, they have got migration center of excellence team. They might have different names for that. They might call it as migration factory, or migration center of excellence, or migration. Okay, yeah, you can don't have to go into the actual names, but you can generally call it as migration service line is available in most of the companies. So they have skills across the board. If you want to migrate database, migrate servers, migrate virtual machine, migrate data, all framework, processes, tools, technologies, everything is known to them. They are trained in that, so they can handle any different complex migration scenarios. Even there are people who are specialized in migration. They are called as migration architects, migration program managers, and so on. Even migration engineer is the person who just do the migration activities alone. But prior to that, there are specific roles like Microsoft migration architect or migration program manager who are skilled in agile process and design architecture, pre-sales, and so on. But there are some the center of excellence team has got specific roles to do specific activities, designing, because they have to do a wave planning, they have to do a lot of procedural activities to be successful in migration within the cost budget, right? So yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, Indian market, there is no challenge, Animal, from my view, because they started doing this 10 years back, and they have, but I would say like 2 years back, there was some small challenges. What happened is people shifted between companies. They moved from one organization to another organization. There was a lot of chaos. There was a lot of issues at that time, but then now it is all settled again. So people have enough what you call
Resource.
enough resources to handle. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So moving on with what we were discussing. Okay, so we are talking about products, cost. Okay, so now the next benefit I would say is the dual usage benefit that they provide. Okay, when I say dual usage benefit, so if you are having a particular application running on your own data center, and if you are planning to try that particular same application on public cloud platform, you are entitled to use the same license, one single license for two servers for a period of 6 months. Okay, so Microsoft is giving you option. You are legally compliant to use that. Okay, so you are not forfeiting, or you are not deviating from the terms and condition. So they are allowing you to use the Windows Server license, so you can run two servers or two virtual machines or two servers with the same with single license for a period of 180 days, 6 months. Okay, and this is applicable only on Microsoft Azure platform. You cannot do a dual usage benefit on Amazon or Google or different cloud provider. So they are giving you option to seamlessly migrate your business application without additional investment. Okay, so you can use your existing license to do a trial and error or POC or whatever without paying additional cost. Okay, so you can do that. And also they are giving you a kind of developer cost, and there is a separate subscription for developer. I'll come to that little later. So with developer subscription or support plan, you have a lot of additional benefit also. So you can save almost 60% to 70% of the cost when you do some POC activities or some testing activities. They have got dev test subscription, which is a kind of platform where you can go and do a lot of development testing and so on. Okay, so I'll show you how it looks like and how to subscribe for that. It is a different it is on the Microsoft Azure marketplace or on the same platform, but it is for a different purpose. Okay, now the next point I would say, I
Sorry to
mean,
interrupt, Stan.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, dual usage benefit, the license part is okay, but
Mm.
how it will be running at the same time, both the server will be running, or any one places the server should run, like on premises or cloud, the same server will be syncing automatically. How it will be in the background, it's happening.
Okay, so Manikandan, see, there are, I think you're getting slightly confused with how the clustering works, right? In clustering, you might have an active server and a passive server, and you might have to deal with the licensing wisely in the clustering concept. But what I'm saying here is, see, you have a business application running on-premises data center with a license, okay, with maybe a Windows Server license, and you want to migrate the same application to Azure platform. See, if you want to migrate that business application to Azure Power Platform, generally what you will do, you will go and do a proof of concept or a kind of testing on the Azure platform. And in general, if you are going to do it on AWS, what you have to generally do, you have to go and create a Windows server, and you have to enable the licensing. Then you have to do the application restoration or testing that application on the platform. Here you have to pay double the cost. You have to pay one licensing cost for the on-premises data center and on the Amazon or Google platform. Whereas if you are going to do the same POC or testing on Azure platform, on Microsoft data center platform, you are entitled to use the same licenses for 180 days, for 6 months. You don't have to pay any additional cost. So if you have a proven output, or if you feel if your POC is successful, then you can power off the on-premises server and you can start running that system on the cloud with after 6 months. Even if you want to recreate it again after 6 months, again you get 6 more months to do a testing kind of thing.
So the dual usage benefit, it's work like a clustering concept, right?
No. It won't work like a clustering. In clustering, it's little different. If you compare it with clustering, you will get confused. Okay, don't you just ignore clustering and then think like you have an on-premises server which you want to run it on Microsoft. You have an on-premises business application. You want to run that, host that on Azure platform. And in order to run that, see, you have to do a lot of testing, right? See, your system integration testing has to be done because your application has to talk to different applications in on-premises or in the public cloud platform. And similarly, users might have to have a same performance, same latency, user acceptance testing has to be done, and all those things. See, when you say POC, it has a lot of different wide range of testing that has to be done: integration testing,
Okay,
acceptance
got it.
testing, and so on, performance testing, and so on. So while doing that, you don't have to invest additional cost, is what I'm trying to say, as a dual usage benefit. Without paying additional cost, you can use the same license without forfeiting Microsoft licensing terms and condition. See, in general, you cannot run two different servers with one single license, right? It is forfeiting against Microsoft terms and condition. But here, it's not that case. So they are allowing you to legally use that same license for two different systems, one in on-premises, one in the cloud, without without overriding their terms and conditions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
no problem.
explanation.
Fine.
Stan, even this
Yeah,
POC success, then we can use the on-prem license also, right? BOA,
that's what. Yeah, BYOL, right? Yeah, bring your own license. Yeah, that is definitely possible. You can also bring that same license, and you'll get a lot of cost benefit. True. Yeah, that is true. So where did I mention that? Somewhere here? Yeah. So you can also bring your own license. Yes. Okay. So any other point from you guys? I mean, I'm just listing whatever I feel as most important, but any other point that you feel Microsoft Azure is good compared to the other providers?
Stanley, I have a small doubt.
Go ahead,
Stanley,
go
can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a small doubt. Actually, I know my friend is working on organization, but they are
Mm-hmm.
using 2008 Windows Server 2008, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
have a original license. But
Mm-hmm.
if they want to move to Azure, so they should buy the 2008 product key, or we have any option to move the cloud technology.
Okay. See, in general, I am not seeing your name. Maybe when you log in next time, enter your name, and then it will be easier for me to call you with your name. So, see, when you go into any platform, Microsoft Azure or Amazon or any cloud platform, if you are going and running it on a Windows, or like if you are running it on a Azure virtual machine, or if you are running it on a Amazon EC2, what it covers is it covers the license for OS also. OS is also covered. So if you have existing license which is available to be used, you can bring that. If you don't have a license, you can go and run the Azure virtual machine, which will automatically cover the OS cost. Okay, so if you don't have a license, then you have to get the license which is part of your Azure virtual machine. If you have the license, you will have a lot of cost reduction. almost 30 to 40% of the cost will be reduced if you are bringing your existing license. If you don't have the license, then you will go and create Azure virtual machine, which will automatically have a license covered.
Okay, Ashtandi. Thank you.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, fine. Yeah, I think I thought. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like so earlier they are using the multiple migration tool. Now all the CSP they are providing their own native tools.
Mm.
This Azure migrate. Are we going to cover this any migration
Mm.
topic in this our training, or
Yes,
it
yes,
only?
yeah. We are
Okay.
going to cover explicitly two entire day on migration.
Mm.
Yeah, so we are going to cover 2 entire days, Sindel.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Stan.
Sure. I got your question. See, I know like maybe 8 to 10 years back, we had a lot of product owners, like, I mean, products coming out of
Yes.
the
Yes.
market like Double Take, Zerto, Platespin, and a lot of companies used to come. And what happened over the period, a lot of those tools were acquisitioned, or a lot of those companies were acquisitioned by big players like Amazon or Microsoft, and they have rebranded those tool sets to their own product name, and later they added it as a part of their larger migration tooling. I'll come to that. I mean, I got your question. Nowadays, you don't see a lot of third-party tools because of acquisition and merger. Yeah,
Yes, yes, correct. Because earlier the carbonate, and I mean the double tech is now carbonate.
correct.
The
Yeah,
carbonate and Zeto, that they are the huge players. Now
correct.
all CSP providing the native tools.
Mm.
But how
True,
it is
true.
compatible with this earlier tool, I don't know. That's what I am asking. Okay, okay.
Understood. I got it. I'll give you a little more detailed insight on how that transformed and how that is no more a need. I'll tell. I mean, there are certain cases
Oh,
which where those tools might be still needed, but
yes,
it
yes,
has become very minimal. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. So the next point I would like to cover is the cross-cloud interconnect options. Okay, I actually covered this point earlier, maybe on day 2, when there was a question on how different public cloud provider data centers are connected. See, if you talk about Microsoft data center, um, Microsoft data center, I mean, I'm talking about the Azure platform data center. It has got a direct physical connection to Oracle data center, for an example. See, this kind of cross-cloud interconnect, a very fast interconnection enables you to transfer data seamlessly from the front end to the back end. So when I say front end, back end, when I say front end, I'm talking about the web application layer, and the back end database layer is what we call it as back end. So all the front end and back end database, back end integration can be very seamless, and it can be as fast as the same data center connectivity. So they have established that. So Microsoft and Oracle has got a kind of cross-cloud interconnect. Similarly, there are a lot of interconnects that are available between public cloud providers, which enables them to seamlessly use the licensing, or use the features provided by the product owner. See, the reason why we need to end up in such a situation is that when it comes to licensing of Oracle databases, it is very complex. It is very costly. Okay, it is costly, and then it is complex. So if you are going to run that in public cloud on a virtual machine platform, it is little more complex and little more complicated. Okay, in order to avoid such a complicated situation, customers want to migrate their database to Oracle data center, so that they get the full benefit of getting the product support, and as well as they get it for a very cheaper price. And that's the reason a lot of databases are getting directly migrated to Oracle data center, and a lot of the front end web application, or the application as such, is getting migrated to Microsoft data center, and they are able to have a very good relationship between two different providers, and they are able to have a lot of cost benefits by running in such a hybrid use case. Okay, so that is available, and this cross cloud interconnect, I'll also give you the link where you can get. 1 second, let me show you that. Maybe I'm just going with the Excel itself. I will just show you that quickly. Let me share my screen again. So I'm talking about this example, cross cloud interconnect between Microsoft and you can get the documentation from both of them, both Microsoft and Oracle. So if you go and look at this, you have to also understand which regions are covered in that. So you cannot assume that it is covered in all the locations. There are certain locations where they are implementing this fast connect. So what they have done is like the database can be on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is the platform from Oracle, right? So similar to Azure, they call it as OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And here we call it as Azure Platform. So Microsoft Azure Platform Data Center and Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Data Center are directly connected through Fast Connect, through which you can run your front-end application and load balancer on Azure platform, and the backend database can be on Oracle platform. So there are a lot of customer use cases who are using this. Even you can have a DR setup between two different providers, like the primary can be on Microsoft and the secondary can be on Oracle. So there are a lot of use cases that you can develop using those fast connect or the direct connect options available. Okay, it is another benefit why we should choose Microsoft. See, nowadays all these options might expand to other providers also. Even Amazon will have a contractual agreement with Oracle, or similarly Amazon will have a tie-up with VMware or Google. See, it's all mutual market these days. See, you cannot uh, do. I mean, we can be competitive, but still you have to bend yourself a little bit to get what you call a mutual benefit. So every provider understands that. That's why they are establishing such fast connects, or they are going into agreements between each other, right? So now VMware is available with Azure also. It's not a unique stuff, but if you want to continue using your VMware hypervisor in Azure platform, you can use AVS, which is VMware VMware product availability on Azure platform. Similarly, even Amazon has got similar stuff, and even other providers are giving it, like Google VMware Engine is there, and then VMware Cloud on AWS is there. But even Microsoft offers that if you want to continue using the VMware hypervisor, and if you want to manage your VMware hypervisors across on-premises and public cloud, even your software defined data center or SDDC products, or even Microsoft Azure Arc, or even your existing vCenter in a linked mode can be used for governance and all those purposes. Okay, so I'll maybe list down few more points, but these are all not as important as the other points which I've listed above. But these are the important points that you need to highlight during your interviews or during your client conversation. So these are the key important points. So the next important point I would say is the expansion of the languages. See, if you are in Japan or China or certain regional locations, you might expect the management to be done in your local language, like Japanese or Mandarin Chinese or whatever, right? So Microsoft supports a lot of different languages, and you can manage Azure platform using your own regional language. And even if you want to pay whatever based on your consumption, they are also supporting a lot of local currencies based on your usage. You can pay it in Indian rupees, or you can pay it in euro, or you can pay it in whatever Japanese yen or whatever local currencies. But it's not covering almost all the currencies. It is covering 25 to 30 local currencies. It is supporting up to 30 languages. And also Microsoft has got the largest partnership management. They have got the largest GSIs, or they've got a lot of partner ecosystem. So I would say close to 70,000 plus partners are there who are working indirectly for Microsoft. So if you talk about Reddington or TCS, or all these are kind of companies which are a kind of see, you might be getting support from Microsoft, but the employees might be from different companies. So a lot of different companies are doing that. Okay, so it's all partnership based, and Microsoft has got the most partners compared to the other cloud providers. And I missed to explain one other important point when it comes to security. Okay, so um, right, public cloud is very risky compared to your on-premises. As I told you, security, privacy, or data privacy is less compared to your on-premises. If you have your own data in your own disk or in your own laptop, no one is going to get inside and take it. But if it is connected to an internet platform, if your laptop or if your system is connected to internet, the risk increases. And if you're storing your data in someone else's data center or in the public cloud, the data gets much more riskier riskier, right? So the privacy concerns is high, and even there are a lot of cyber security threat that is there on the internet, and Microsoft is very much aware of that. And what they are doing to mitigate that is like they are spending almost $1 billion only on cyber security. They've got specific people, specific trained people on even right, security market is huge. There are a lot of vacancies that are there, and that's the reason a lot of people are even learning security specific certifications and so on. And they are expanding on cloud security also, skills on cloud security plus dedicated certification is also in huge demand when it comes to security. So Microsoft has got almost 3,000 employees who are just working as cybersecurity professionals, and they are investing around $1 billion per year just on the cybersecurity handling. Okay, you might be heard like there are almost 20,000 cyber attacks happening now and then, and it's like very common. Okay, especially in the public cloud, internet facing applications and stuff, cyber attacks are very common, and Microsoft understands the risk, and they are getting future ready, or like they are investing a lot of investment that is being done just on the cyber security alone. Okay, so okay, next thing I would say is on the products and services ecosystem. Okay, Microsoft understands the future. They know like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and even the data side of house. There is a lot of growth. There is a lot of technologies, capabilities being expected by the customers. So a lot of new capabilities, new products, new services are being released by Microsoft across machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so on. So even for customers who are looking for product and services on IoT, on smart factory or smart industry, Microsoft has got a lot of products and services. They have a wide range to choose from. So they are definitely future ready with all new capabilities year on year, month on month. There are a lot of new features, capabilities, products, services being released on Azure platform. So it's huge. Even everyone is doing that. Amazon is doing that. Google is doing that. But still, Microsoft is also looking at the market. They are investing a lot of money, and they are definitely expanding a lot of things. And next thing is Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, so Azure has got its own DevOps pipeline, which is very much competitive in the market. A lot of customers are still using third-party tools when it comes to CI/CD or new updates to the application and so on. They have to do a continuous integration, continuous deployment, right? In this market, I know like there are certain tools which are widely used, like Bitbucket or Jenkins or GitHub or GitLab. So these are the tools which are widely used, but still, when it comes to applications hosted on Azure platform, Azure DevOps is the first choice because it has got all the integrations already available. If you want to develop and push the application, it is very easier to push it through the Azure DevOps pipeline, compare it to the third-party pipeline. Because if you want to go with third-party, you have to do a lot of integrations. You have to have a dedicated team for such tooling. You have to have a dedicated DevOps team or a DevOps tooling team who manages that environment. But if you're using Azure DevOps as a service, it is very easier to manage. You get support from Microsoft, and you don't have to kind of have deep dive knowledge on the DevOps tooling or the framework, because it is as a service. So DevOps pipeline, it is very widely getting adopted. There is a lot of usage on that. I think I covered most of the point. We are almost close to 7. I just want to cover this thing until 7. Maybe I'll talk about few more points and we'll take some break. Let me see if I have something on the slide. But any questions? Yeah, so this is again what I was talking about future ready, right? 1,000+ new capabilities in the last 1 year alone. Most comprehensive artificial intelligence portfolio. Analytics is 14 times faster, and it is very less in cost. So they have got the broadest IoT ecosystem. And if you look at on the left, this is again the investment on the cyber security, right? They've got 3,500 cyber security expert who are just focused on cyber security, and they are covering 95 compliance offering. It is listed as 90. It is a little old. And again, they have got a lot of analysis being done on a lot of different signals that they're getting. Okay, so yeah, more than 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using Azure. Okay, you can see the biggest companies like Bank of America, Samsung, Toshiba, BMW, Boeing, Walmart. So big companies are using it. Okay, so a lot of customers are adopting. There are 120,000 new subscriptions month on month. Microsoft is supporting open source technologies. That is another key important point. And they have got the widest experience. They have got a lot of different products in the past. They have been managing Hotmail, MSN, Windows Update Service, Bing, Live Meeting. So Microsoft has got the broadest and deepest understanding on how to manage data center. They've got a long experience in managing data centers. Okay, so these are the point I thought of covering on why you should choose Azure compared to other provider. Yeah, any questions on that?
Stan, Bala here. Are you able to hear
Yeah.
me? Hello. Yeah, Stan, I have a couple of questions. One is regarding the Azure, like AD was there, right? This is same as AWS IAM, right?
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, okay, kind of. Okay, fine. And you said like Azure DevOps is like it's native to Azure that we need not go for separate integration. Do we have any sessions on that one as part of our curriculum?
Come again with your question. Second question. What is that?
No, no. No, second question is you said right, Azure CI/CD, the Azure DevOps is the native to Azure. Like
DevOps.
there are like a lot of tools like GitHub and Jenkins are there, right?
Mm,
Which any customer can integrate to go ahead.
mm.
Do we have any sessions on that one? Like our curriculum covers this as well.
No, see, DevOps
The
as
DevOps.
such is a separate certification. Okay, so I do have DevOps course
Mhm.
available with us, but then it's a separate curriculum. So it's not covered here.
Okay.
If you want to learn Azure DevOps
Okay.
pipeline, it is covered separately.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we'll take a break here. Okay, when we come back, we'll talk about Azure deployment model, and we'll talk about Azure support plan and subscriptions, and we'll talk about Azure hierarchy and Azure geographical presence. Okay, we'll talk about these points when we come back after the break. Okay, let me stop the recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so next one is about the deployment model. Okay, so when you want to go and provision a resource, or when you want to go and deploy a particular resource, see resource in Azure platform, it is referring to a virtual machine or a disk, or it can be a virtual network, or it can be a public IP, or it can be a network interface, and so on. Now, everything is a resource in Azure. So if you ask me whether this is the situation even before, no, it was not the situation earlier. Earlier, when Microsoft started, I just gave you a hint. It had two different branding. One was Windows Azure branding, and they converted to Microsoft Azure branding. So as part of the rebranding, they also did one more change in how the resources are created. So in cloud platform, it is mostly deploying virtual machine, deploying disk, deploying network, and so on. The reason that they use the word deploy, you are not going and creating something from the scratch. or you are not going and installing an operating system, or you are not going and installing something. You are going and deploying a virtual machine from the image. You are going and doing an automated deployment of a particular resource. So in deployment strategy, you have to have some uh, platform through which you can go and request for the resources, or you can go and request for the services. And Microsoft has got two different flavors. Earlier they used to have ASM, and now they have the ARM platform. And this is Azure Service Management, which is the older legacy one, which is no more in use. It was deprecated, but in some interviews or in some discussions, they are still discussing around this. But you just have to be little aware of that. You don't have to be having too deep understanding on this. At least on a very high level, you should have some understanding. So Azure Service Management is a platform through which we used to request for resources behind the scenes. As I told you, cloud has a lot of different tools, engine that works together: automation engine, orchestration engine, metering engine, and so on. All these tool set work behind the scenes, behind the Azure Resource Manager or the service management, through which you are going and requesting for the resource. See, when I go and log into Azure platform, and when I say deploy virtual machine, behind the scenes, the Azure Resource Manager will do all the orchestration automation that is needed, and it will create the resource and give it back the details to you, give back the details to you. So that is this is the intermediate layer. So if you want to connect to Azure platform, either through the Azure command line, or through the Azure portal, or Azure desktop application or mobile application or whatever, all the request will land on this particular intermediate management plane. I would say data plane or management plane. Through this resource management plane, all the requests are accepted, and it will be taken to the backend. So from Microsoft Azure Data Center, anything that is created and provided to resources, it is handled through this Azure Resource Manager. So Azure Resource Manager is the management and governance plane, I would say. Okay, so we used to have two different flavors. This is the legacy one, which is deprecated already, but still I'm just trying to give you some historical understanding. Earlier, when Microsoft started, even when it comes to portal, right? On the right, I have just listed Azure portal. So when it comes to portal, we did not have single sign-on or single unified portal earlier. We used to have multiple different portals. So if you want your cloud operations team or administration team to manage Windows Azure, so you have to log into this platform. If the developers want to log in, they used to have a different platform or a different link. And similarly for FinOps team, financial team, and different teams, they used to have different web portal, and they have to log in through different portal. But now everything is unified. All different portal we used to have earlier has been merged together into one single unified portal, which is called portal.azure.com. So if you just want to log in, there is no Windows, there is no Microsoft specific branding. It is just called as portal.azure.com. If you are a developer, or if you're a finance team person, or if you're a cloud operations engineer or a DevOps engineer, irrespective of your roles, responsibilities, you go and land into only one unique portal, and through which you go and request for the resources, create resources, manage resources, and even whatever activities you do, configure, delete, you have to do through this unified portal. Okay, so they used to have a kind of code name. Okay, so we don't have to really worry about these things, but I just want to say they used to call it as Red Dog portal, and this one is called as Ibiza portal. The main important thing that you should be aware of is the way how the things are integrated, or how the API is being configured. So if you ask about API, earlier when Microsoft started this cloud platform, Windows Azure platform, they have developed using XML driven APIs. It was very popular at that time, 15, maybe like 15 years back, or 10 to 12 years back. XML was very popular in the web or in the internet platform. Whereas, right now, after Amazon, Google started using JSON a lot, every customers have started moving towards JavaScript object notation, JSON driven REST APIs. So even Microsoft Azure is connected through, or it is the ARM API, the Azure Resource Manager API is using this JSON-driven REST API now. Earlier, it was XML driven. It was the code is little heavier compared to the JSON. JSON is much more simpler, and you will get to know more about the JavaScript object notation. But for now, just understand there is a big change in the API between the earlier release and the current release. But you will get to know about JSON, what kind of code, how the code looks like in a later session. During the templating and infrastructure as a code session, we'll talk about this JSON in the same Azure batch. Okay, so next one, see, when you want to go and create a resource in ASM, Azure Service Management, for example, if you have a business application, if you want to run that, we used to go and request for a cloud service. Okay, so for example, the cloud service is a combined name that they use for virtual machine. It comprises of load balancer plus VM plus IP plus network card and so on. So I mean, these resources are not cannot be individually created. You cannot go and deploy these resources as an individual resource earlier. So we have to go and request for a cloud service, and that too, when you deploy that cloud service, it used to have a lot of challenge. See, it will be, you will get a unique name, cloud service name dot, maybe it will have cloudapp.net. Okay, this is the name that we used to have during the earlier period. There are two challenges with this. So this is a global domain, right? And if you are creating something in India, for example, in Asia Pacific, if you are creating server Asia Pacific server one, or maybe database server one, that name cannot be used elsewhere because this is a global domain space that is being used. But whereas now, if you go and create a resource, it will have resource name. It can be a VM name or a network name or whatever, and then followed by region, followed by cloud app azure.com. So they have changed it. They have rebranded their DNS also recently. I mean, not recently, like 10 years back. Okay, so this is how it looks like now. So there is an advantage, right? For example, if you are creating something in a particular region, this is Azure region. So the regions looks like this. They call it as East US, West US. Even within the US, they have multiple regions. So if you create a resource, for example, if I'm creating DB server 1, it will be like DB server 1 eastus.cloudapp.azure.com DNS name. Okay, whereas earlier, if you create DB server 1, it will be unique across, it has to be unique across the globe because it has got a global DNS name, but now it is changed to regional DNS name. And again, as I told you, creating separate resources was not possible. So if you want to create now, you can go and create or deploy VM, you can deploy a disk, or you can create a disk. In fact, it's not deploying, it's creating disk. You can create a public IP, or you can create a NIC. All those, these are all individual resources. You can go and create separately, and you can tag them, or you can go and attach them to different resources. Even deletion also was very complex earlier, because when you create it as a bundle, and when you delete it, it's not very easy to go and delete it. But now even deletion is pretty straightforward. Deletion of resources can be done very easily. There are 2 points on around this. When you go and create a resource currently in Azure Resource Manager model, okay, you go and create a resource group. See, resource group is something where you create to group a set of resources that belongs to a particular department or a particular application or a particular environment and so on. So by grouping the resources, you put them all into a particular folder. When you don't need that application, when you don't need that environment, when you don't need that particular set of server resources, you can delete them as a complete resource group. So it's easy to identify and delete the resources. So this resource group concept was introduced in Azure Resource Manager module. So resource grouping can be done by creating a folder kind of thing called resource group, under which you can go and store the resources that belong to a particular environment, particular application, particular department, and so on. You can use it based on various customer needs. Okay, so next point I would say is about the tagging. Okay, resource tagging was not at all available at that time. See, if you don't have a tagging mechanism in cloud, it is very tough. Okay, it wasn't available at that time. Okay, so tagging as such, like the tagging, if you ask general tagging, it's to identify a particular object or a particular person, or everyone wears a tag, right? So they have their name, they have their specific details, personal details put in the tag to identify them better. Similarly, if you go and create resource in public cloud, for better grouping, better management, better governance, you have to tag them. See, when I say tagging, when you go and create a resource, you might have to tag it like which environment it belongs to, whether it is for testing or development or production or mission critical, which department it belongs to, HR or finance, or what kind of department, whether it is what is the criticality level, what kind of location it belongs to, which cost center we have to build that. So all these things will help you with efficient governance. Even if you want to go and patch a set of resources, for example, you can just write one query stating like patch all the servers that belong to tag environment development. So this will only cover all the resources which are having tag as development environment tag. So it is easy to group, it is easy to identify when it comes to operations. When I say operations, it can be patching, monitoring, searching something, indexing something, taking backup of something, going and doing a billing, cost management. All these things gets very easier when you have proper tagging mechanism, proper tagging strategy. So tagging is very important. I'll explain more about tagging, what are the best practices and what kind of tags we should have. I'll give you a lot of details around tagging tomorrow. But now resource tagging concept was introduced in Azure Resource Manager, which is a very important concept. Without tagging, cloud management governance is not easy. Okay, the next important point in ARM is that there is a fine-grained access control mechanism that you can do. So when you go and work in an organization, you know there is a kind of RASI matrix, right? A responsibility matrix. Each and every different individual, the role, based on their role, they might be obliged or they might be entitled to do certain tasks. So their responsibilities will be defined based on their level, based on their job level, or based on the role that they are playing. So in order to apply role-based access control, Azure Resource Manager has got a lot of options to go and apply fine-grained access control. Whereas in the previous ASM model, the access permissions or handling RBAC was not available, and it was not. I mean, it's not. It was not there actually, in fact. And then the next important point. I mean, I think we are covering too many things, but I'll stop it here. So the next important point is resource locking. Okay, so earlier, right, there are a lot of challenges when it comes to data management, especially information management, especially if you have some critical data or information, if you don't have proper locking or proper security measures, the data will get easily deleted or easily corrupted by virus or malware or whatever. So now there are a lot of resource locking options available, especially there is an exam question also on this particular topic. Okay, so let me come to this slide here. I'll talk about that quickly. Just a second, where is that? Sorry, I think I've kept it somewhere. Okay, so there are two types of resource locks, read-only lock and delete lock. Yeah. So there are two types of lock actually. So if you go and enable the lock cannot delete, you can read the data, you can update the data, but you cannot delete the data. So this is one type of lock that you can apply to your resources. It can be your disk or it can be your VM, it can be your public IP or network interface or whatever resource. You can apply this lock at the resource level, and also you can apply the lock kind of read-only lock. Read-only lock allows you to only read, even you cannot make any modification, you cannot update that. So there are two type of locks that you can enable. This is primarily to protect against accidental modification. This one is to avoid any accidental deletion. So if you go and try to delete, it will tell you there is a lock enabled. You have to go and release the lock, and then you will be able to delete it. So that, see, people are working remotely, right? They are connecting through the web browser. Their internet connection will be sluggish, or there might be some challenges in the connection. So if they are working on production environment, they have to be very careful. So in order to avoid any manual human errors or accidental deletion of resources, we need to have a mechanism, right? So people will tend to go and delete certain things by mistake. So this will give you a kind of protection against those accidental modification and deletion. So you can apply the logs at the subscription level, resource group level, individual resources. I know I have not talked about this resource hierarchy. Well, I'll talk about that little later. So I'll show you where exactly the log can be applied. Okay, so that is another important point which you can enable. Okay, I'll show some practical sessions on that. No, don't worry about this particular thing. Yeah, I think this is another key question when it comes to interview. So when they ask how, what is the current deployment model, and what is the platform through which Azure is being managed? Azure Resource Manager is the answer, and especially within Azure Resource Manager, resource grouping, resource tagging, role-based access control, resource locking, and this unique regional DNS are some of the key points that you need to be aware of. Okay, so now let's move on to the next topic, which is Azure subscription. Okay, let me take a look at the slide to see if I have got something which I missed of this particular topic. Azure.
Stan,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, in the previous deployment model, you have mentioned
Mm,
means the platform, right? Azure platform.
Yeah.
So it's about how we are going to access the Azure, or how it
mm.
is, which means the cloud.
Okay, Surinder, let me try to clarify that. Just a second. Let me log into the portal. Okay, so now I know, like, I've not shown you how to create an account and all those things, but now still let me do one thing here. See, if I go back on thing, see, if you look at the link here, okay, just carefully look at the link. It has got create a virtual machine -ARM. Okay, all the request, whatever you are doing, creating a VM or creating something in your subscription or in Azure account, it has to go through this Azure Resource Manager plane. So, for example, when you go and create something, you might not be able to create certain resources. See, if I click on create, there are a lot of resources that are available under compute, storage, and stuff, but it is not the complete list that is provided by Azure. See, if you want to access that, if you scroll a bit down, if you look at the resource providers, this is what I was talking about. So this is where it gives you access to go and create something. For example, if you want to create a network, you have to be registered or you have to subscribe for that. And certain services will automatically get subscribed. Some of them you might not be registered. For example, if you want to go and create a document DB, by default it is not registered, or you are not allowed to create that. So you have to select it, you have to register it. And when you go and register for that, it goes through the Azure Resource Manager. So Azure Resource Manager is the ARM, that is the provider, that is the platform through which all the resources are programmatically orchestrated and deployed.
Okay.
So Microsoft has got an umbrella term. Like, for example, if you are creating something in VMware, all the request goes through vCenter, right?
Yeah.
or if you're creating something in Microsoft Hyper-V, it goes through SCVMM. Similarly, Microsoft Azure has got a data center. In their data center, they've got compute, they've got storage, network, and so on. So if you are going and creating a virtual machine, what it has to do, it has to go and create a VM with specific compute capacity, CPU, memory. It has to go and create some storage. It has to do all the things in an orchestrated way, or it has to go and do that behind the scenes. And all these requests, whichever you're making to the Azure data center, either from the command line or from the portal or using third-party tools like Terraform or whatever, it has to go to the Azure Resource Manager. That is the management plane, or that is where Azure resources are being created and provided. Okay, so they call it as resource provider or resource manager. This is the management plane through which all the different activities are happening, and this is what will help you to go and create compute or storage or network or whatever resources that you want to create from Azure data center.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I got it. So Azure Resource Manager is nothing but resource provider, which I can see in the
Yeah,
portal, right?
true. That is
Okay.
true. You can understand that as a resource provider, or you can understand that as a data plane or a management plane. That is a governance plane, because it does all the activities happens through that. Okay, in simple.
Okay.
Okay, resource. If you want to, if you want to get some resource from Azure data center, so Azure Resource Manager provides that through that API or through that particular link.
So
Okay,
whatever
so
platform we are going to use, so it need to first, means we need to
mm,
do it by using the resource manager.
correct. All the requests are dealt through the resource manager. You can also compare it with vCenter, or you can compare it with SCVMM or any different management tool or centralized management platform.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, what does that API mean? Okay, see API, see you have to definitely integrate with different products, right? For example, if it comes to storage or server hardware or any particular network, these are all currently in Microsoft Data Center. It's not all Microsoft physical products, right? It might be from different vendors. You might have to go and request for a storage from NetApp, or you might have to get a kind of port assigned from Cisco device or a router. So there has to be a kind of programmatic way. So there has to be a application programming interface that can talk to each other. Okay, and see, the integration is what we generally call it as API. So it's a programmatic interface through which two different applications to talk to each other, or two different products can talk to each other. So it's way of exchanging information. So, I mean, you don't have to get too detailed into that. We are just at the very basic stuff. See, we might have discussed a lot of things. At the end, you have to understand the essence of what we are discussing here, right? So if I say why Azure, at least you need to understand what is different from other providers. A lot of points might be confusing. Okay, a lot of information which I'm taking as an example might be a little hard for people who are just very beginners in their career, or who are just starting with IT, right? But at least you get to understand that there are certain areas which Microsoft is doing better. So that's the takeaway that you should have. Similarly, there are two different models, and out of which ARM is the current model, and that is what Microsoft is using currently, is what you need to understand from this particular thing. Now, moving into the Azure support plan, a lot of applications or customer are in different stages in adopting public cloud. Some of them are still doing proof of concept, some of them are still testing, some of them are already trying to develop application to run on public cloud platform. Some of them already have enterprise applications which they just need to migrate from on-premises data center to Azure data center. So different customers are at different stage for their application. So Microsoft has got a basic support plan, or a free tier support plan kind of, and then they've got a developer support plan, and they've got standard, they've got professional direct, and then they've got the enterprise agreement, the premier or the enterprise plan. Okay, so they used to call it as unified plan earlier. They used to call it as enterprise plan earlier, but all of them are pretty much one and the same. So they have Microsoft has that habit of changing the name, but yeah, so it's almost the same. Okay, now if your application is at a very if you are a beginner, or if you are a student, or if you are just starting to learn something in Azure platform, then you generally go with free tier account. So mainly for education purpose, or maybe for proof of concept. I know most of you understands what is POC, but then I just want to call it out as proof of concept testing. And similarly, if I want to explain something to you guys as part of my training, then I use this free tier or basic tier, and so on. So these are the general use cases. And with this basic tier, with this free tier, you are entitled to create only two kind of support tickets. One, if you have issues with your account login, or anything related to your account. When I say account, your ID, your login details. So if you have issues with your account, then you can raise a ticket. Or if you have received some bill without you creating something, or without your knowledge, some bill has come. Okay, so these are the two support ticket categories that you can raise. Okay, you can raise support ticket for account related issues and billing related issues. Only for these two cases you can raise support ticket. But then here in developer support plan, you are already in development stage. If your application is already reached development stage, you are creating code, you are creating program, you are creating your application. So you definitely need some level of support for your development environment, because there is a target for which you are working towards. You are trying to bring this application for customer usage within 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. So you have a target, you need some support from Microsoft. So here, when it comes to support ticket, you have to log into the portal and you can raise the support ticket. Only through the web you can avail this. But then in developer plan, you can also use the web to create tickets, and then you can also have a chat support, you can also have email support, and there is one person who can also call and raise a ticket through phone actually. So this is mainly for development environment, and this is mainly for test environment, this free tier or the basic tier. Okay, let me move this. And this is definitely for the production environment. Prod. So here you can definitely have web, email, chat, phone, and you can also have different severity. So here, since you are in development stage, your application is not being consumed or used by your customers. So definitely there is no business outage. So when I say disaster, or when you say business outage, you are experiencing some financial loss. If you are still in development stage and if your application code is not being used by your customer, then definitely there is no financial loss, or there is no big impact to your customer. So here, if you want to raise a support ticket or a support case in developer plan, generally you can go and raise a severity C or a P3 ticket or a P4 kind of ticket, where you get support in 8 business hours. So when I say business hours, when it comes to SLA, or when it comes to support agreement, this business hours is very different from normal hours. See, when I say severity B ticket in professional direct, for an example, okay, severity B ticket in professional direct, or severity B ticket or P2 ticket in standard, you get 4 hours response. Okay, so I'm talking about the response time, not the resolution time. Response time is whenever you have an issue, you are raising a case and you get a response within that time. Resolution is fixing that problem, bringing back the environment to working condition, bringing back to normalcy, right? So response SLA is 8 business hours. For example, in Japan, people might be working for 9 hours. In US, people might be working for 8 hours. And if you are raising a support ticket at 4 o'clock, you should not expect response from Microsoft on the same day. So business hours means it is the business hours of the local country of the particular location. So if you are raising at 6 o'clock or 2 o'clock today, then you have to wait until tomorrow, maybe 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock before you get a response. See, it is not that they will always respond only after 6 hours, 7 hours. So it is like they will respond back to you within 8 business hours. That is what their service level agreement, or that is what they have agreed to provide you. Okay. And if you want to get such support, you have to go and purchase this support plan, developer support plan. And in order to purchase that, you have to pay $29 per month for the support from the provider. Either it is Microsoft or Amazon, it is pretty much the same. Okay, both Amazon and Microsoft and other provider have a developer support plan. It is almost the same pricing. But in case you have some doubt whether this application will work, or whether this integration can be done, or if you have some queries or specific doubts, definitely general guidance is available in developer plan. But since it is a development environment, you can only create a P3 ticket or a severity C ticket. Whereas in standard plan, you can create severity C, severity B, and severity A cases also. And this is when mainly, like, we call it as business critical or what do you call severity A tickets, P1 ticket, right? So they will respond back in 1 hour. Okay, so that is the case severity. Based on the case severity, Microsoft will quickly respond back to you within 1 hour if it is a production environment issue. So for production environment, generally you have to pay $100 as a support plan cost every month. So this is different from, based on your consumption, you are paying different, but this is mainly for the support. If you're asking in Indian rupees, approximately it is 2000 Indian rupees per month. This is approximately, I would say, 6000 Indian rupees per month, and so on. See, I know it is not converting to the dollars. If you are converting to the dollars, it is somewhere around 8000. But then there is some plus or minus in the calculation how we pay for the support plan. We will be paying only around 6000 things. It is not exact USD to INR conversion, but there is some what do you call benefits that they provide. So you are approximately paying around 6000 INR. If you are in US, you have to pay $100. Okay. So yeah, for the stand, go ahead.
So is it for the individual server instance we have to like enroll for this
No.
100?
It is for the entire subscription. See, if you are going
Okay,
and creating a subscription, so this is one subscription, right? Under which you have hundreds of resources, and you have to go and get it for your subscription. This is subscription level support plan.
okay, so yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And there are a lot of ways you can combine them. Okay, there is a concept called OU, or organization. You can combine the subscription into one billing model. They call it as master prayer agreement. You can bring all the accounts or subscription into one billing umbrella also. I'll talk about that little later. But for now, yeah, for your question, these support plans are not at the resource level. Instead, you have to purchase it for your subscription level. Yeah. So for the standard support plan, this is mainly for most of the small to medium-sized businesses, or the startup companies will go for standard support plan. But enterprise customers will mainly go for, even some small customers might go for professional direct. See, there are some small startup companies, but their applications are widely used. They are having a lot of customer base across the globe, and they are making a lot of business revenue out of it. So automatically their applications are also business critical. They are also mission critical. Even though the customer base is very less, they are a mid-sized company, but then their application is heavily used. And if that application is not available for a set of customers for a particular duration, if it is costing financial loss to that company, then there is a huge reliance on that particular, they are relying heavily on that application. So you have to consider that as a mission critical or business critical application, and you have to get appropriate support plan for that particular application. So here the biggest advantage of going with Premier or the higher support plan, you get this mission critical ticket where they will respond back within 15 minutes. Or even there is one more rapid response option which you can get. That is even little quickly. You can immediately ask the person to log in to the bridge and start working on that issue. So the advantage of going with the Premier or the higher plan, you have to pay a lot of hefty of amount here. It is approximately, it is not exact $15,000, but it is somewhat closer to that. But there are plus or minus based on what kind of additional benefits that you are availing. Based on the additional benefits, training, vouchers that you get, you have to pay a little extra amount, but approximately it is $15,000. This is approximately around 100,000. This not 100,000. It's just $1,000 per month, approximately 66,000 Indian rupees. Okay, so in this category, think there is there is also similar stuff, but it is all hours. Okay, let me quickly double check. Okay, so if I want to understand what is my okay. Okay, so this is my MSDN subscription, right? Just a second, let me go here. Okay, current cost is 4,000. Okay. See, if I go to new support request, here I'll see what plan I'm currently part of. Here also I can do that, or else directly if you want to understand, you can just say support and then go to help and support screen. Here you will be able to see what is the current support plan. Okay, just a second, it is loading. See, currently I'm in basic support plan. See, all these additional points you can consider. See, this is what I was also referring to. So let me put that here for the interest of time. I'll just try to cover up some important points which I missed earlier. See, in the higher plan, especially the professional direct or the premier plan, you can go and raise architectural guidance support. Okay, so if you have issue, I mean, if you have if you need some support from designing, architect related stuff, they have dedicated solutioning engineers, solutioning architects who can come and provide support for you. And similarly, there is one another important point in the next plan. That is called as technical account manager, TAM. We call it as TAM, and then there is one more person called global account manager, GAM, who is above technical account manager. In enterprise plan, in the premier plan, you have technical account managers whom you can call if the support case has been raised, and if you're not getting proper support, if the engineer is not giving you adequate support for the issues, then you can call them and then ask for different resource or more people to quickly fix that issue. So here also you have the same in professional direct, but in professional direct it is a pro direct delivery manager. Pro direct delivery managers are not dedicated managers for you. They are all leveraged support manager for you. Okay, so in each shift there will be a delivery manager. So whenever you call that particular number, there will be a delivery manager who will be picking it up, and then they will be giving you the support. Whereas technical account manager is a dedicated account manager for a particular customer, for a particular account. If there is something which is getting delayed, or if you're not getting proper support, you can directly call them, and that is the reason you are paying a hefty of amount here, $15,000. So you have dedicated technical account manager, dedicated architect, dedicated solutioning engineers, dedicated support people who are trained on that industry. For example, if you are a customer who has subscribed for Microsoft Azure and you have got an enterprise plan, if you are a healthcare customer, the people who are all supporting your account or subscription, they are trained on that particular industry vertical. For example, payment card industry, they might have trained on how you have to take care of the PCI standard applications and all those things. So they will undergo specific training, specific mechanisms. They have to understand specific processes before they go and support it. So premier support plan has got a lot of benefits, especially the architectural support. And even if you want to do some kind of well architected review or engineering led web seminars, a lot of trainings provided, a lot of onboarding guidance will be provided, a lot of advisory consultation will be provided in the premier support plan especially. Okay, so here in the basic, the developer, you get only general guidance. You don't get a kind of uh, architectural guidance or dedicated solutioning kind of support. Is available only in the higher plan. And another important point, you can raise unlimited contacts or unlimited cases in the higher plan, whereas in the basic or the developer plan, there are some limits, whereas in the higher plan, you can go and raise as many support cases you want. And this is another important thing, 24/7 support from the support engineers. Here it is only business hour support. See, business hour support is different from region to region. See, if you look at the bottom here below, see, business hours are 9 to 5 for some countries. In North America, business hours means 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that means if you are raising a case at 6 a.m., then they should respond back mostly on the same day. Okay, but in most of the other countries, it is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and excluding holidays and weekends. In some locations in Japan, the business hours is from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. only. So you need to understand where exactly your customer is running their application, and based on that, uh, you have to expect the response. Okay, you should not um, raise the ticket in Japan and then expect a response the same day in the afternoon itself. But mostly, if you are raising it in the morning itself, you might get the support the same day, or mostly it will fall on to the next day. But in North America, the business hours are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So which means most of the support cases will be addressed or at least responded within the same business day. So these are some important points that you need to be aware of when it comes to Azure support plan. So we are buying these things at the subscription level. Okay, any specific questions on this particular topic? There are a couple of exam questions on this topic, which you might have to be
How
clear.
uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
How?
Stan, how we choose this support? Like if we have an enterprise customer,
Yeah.
and so that point of
No, no.
time, if we
Here
can
you
choose
have the
the
option to
based on
upgrade
the
it.
size of our environment.
Oh, no, no, no. So based on your criticality of your application. See, for example, if you have an application which needs, if it is mission critical means the business cannot run without that application. If that application is down, the entire business is financially impacted. Customers are waiting in queue. For example, airlines industry and all, it is very critical, right? Similarly, a lot of train ticket booking and all those things, it will have a major impact. So those application are considered as mission critical. And even if it is a healthcare application, if people are in waiting in queue to get bed or get some medical support, those are all mission critical application, and for which you have to get premier or enterprise plan. And there are certain applications which are not that critical, but it is kind of business critical. There won't be huge financial loss, for which you can go and get professional direct. See, at the in simple answer to answer your question, if your application is making a lot of money, if your application is getting you a lot of revenue, then you will go for higher plan.
Okay, okay, Stan. And
Yeah.
in professional director also it mentioned enterprise.
Mhm.
So
No,
SMB
enterprise
startup and
customers can go
enterprise.
for, yeah, these are all customers. Enterprise customers means the global customer, like they have got
Okay,
businesses across the globe. Yeah, they are doing business across the globe. Yeah.
okay, got it.
Oh, okay. So I got you. So you are confusing with this agreement and the
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Got it. Sorry.
Okay, and in the column E, it is for a
Hmm.
single one, right? Like Premier Unified enterprise. This is all of
Yeah, yeah,
same one.
yeah. It used to be different names earlier, and they have changed the names over the period. Okay, so all the
Okay.
names. See, some customers will use the old name because they are using Azure since 2010 or 2012. If you talk to some customer, they might say, "I have unified plan," but they might have their name might have already changed, but they might be thinking behind the mind it is unified plan or premier plan. So whenever they refer to that, they are referring to the larger enterprise plan.
Okay, okay, Stan. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. See, the better the plan, better the SLA in simple. Okay, better the response time, and also you get technical support person, technical architect, and you get a lot of on-demand training. So you can ask for a lot of vouchers, a lot of core business related health checks, well architected review. You can ask for as much as support on the higher enterprise plan. I would say on-demand training, on-demand vouchers for your employees to get the exam done. So you can get architectural guidance, technical support by architects, well architected reviews for free, advisor recommendations for free. Yep. Okay. Okay, so I thought of covering Azure geographical presence also today, but we are already close to 8. So I'll start accepting questions on the 3 topics that we discussed today. Why Azure, Azure deployment model, Azure support plan. So these are the 3 topics that we discussed. Any questions around this?
So they are not
Yes.
giving any resolution time, right? Only response time, correct? That time.
Resolution depends on the complexity of the issue, right? So see, if you have an application which has got some portion in your own data center and in Microsoft data center, and similarly in third-party data center or third-party application is involved, a resolution time cannot be guaranteed. Okay, it's mainly response. At least people are working on a priority on that particular issue. So based on the criticality, based on the priority, there is some set of people who are addressing that. So at least there will be a resolution in some time. So no one can guarantee that a particular issue can be resolved in a particular amount of time. It's I mean, yeah, it's tough to provide a RPO, RTO for a issue resolution.
Stan, actually,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have been told about us to create the means
Mm-hmm.
VMs or storage or based on different regions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, so I just want to create the portal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to means to allow all the success, so to create the instance or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
where this portal it will get created in which region or maybe which
Okay.
in which yeah.
No, I mean, so you can create that by selecting that. I mean, we are going to discuss that when you are going to create a particular resource, whichever whatever resource you are creating, for example, virtual machine or storage or whatever you mentioned, you are definitely going to select the region here. Without selecting the region, none of the resources are going to get accepted.
Okay. So about our means our logins. So I just want means maybe I'm not correct, but
Yeah, yeah. So
so
I'll
we
show
are
you how to
creating our
create the free tier account and how to do all the login. So we are yet to reach that portion. Okay, we are just
yeah.
talking about
So
Azure.
that
Yeah.
where we will that where it will get created. So maybe it is related to region wise, or again it is related to some common database. Our
Okay,
login
okay.
is
Are you talking about Azure account creation, right?
it's yeah yeah yes.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, I'll give you a little more insight. See, certain services are global in nature, so which means it has got a database which is replicated at the global level. So, it's not specific to a region or specific to a country. And certain things I know, like there are some restrictions, right? There are some regulatory standards in Europe that their data has to be in the European region for to be compliant with GDPR restrictions and so on. So there are certain aspects which you should be aware of. I'll cover it as part of the Azure geographical presence. So tomorrow when we connect, I'll cover about the geographies, and within that we have got regions, and within that we have got availability zones, and within that we have got availability set and much more, placement group and so on. And there are certain services which are bound to region, which are bound to global, which are bound to a particular criteria. Okay, so it is product to product, service to service. There are certain services. For example, if you're talking about identity and access management, it is a global service offering. It doesn't have a specific country restriction or a specific regional attachment.
Okay.
No, you will get to understand that. I know I did not answer it fully to the fullest, but yeah, you'll get to understand that later.
Yeah, sure.
So any questions on what we have discussed so far?
Yes, Stan, regarding this premium support, Stan, like you're
Yeah.
saying, like it's about like based on the subscription level, right?
Mhm.
So say like one of the customer having like subscription of about like 1,000 resources,
Yeah.
and one other customer they're having like 10,000 resources under the one subscription. In that
Mhm.
case, like how they are going to treat like they're charging like the same 15,000 per month or
Okay. So Karthikeyan, right?
yes, yes, Stan.
Okay. So as I told you, a different application might be at a different stage. Okay. For example, some business application you are still doing a POC, and for which you might not be interested to pay the premier support cost for that. And what generally customers will do is they will create subscriptions per environment or based on the environment or based on the application level or based on the department, based on the business unit. And the reason I call out all these things, different department might have different budget. Different business unit might have a business application which are different
For
uh,
the billing purpose, right?
in priority or criticality will be different, and
Okay.
there are different application which might belong to different environment, testing or development and so on. So they will segregate those applications into different subscription to answer at a very high level. So not all the application will be put into one bucket or basket. So they will segregate it by subscription so that they are getting adequate support based on the criticality, based on the importance of the application.
Yeah, I understood, Stan, but even like in the enterprise, like they have like uh, one of the like company having like 1,000 critical servers,
Mm,
and they put all together in a single subscription for the
mm,
production environment.
yeah.
The other
Mhm,
customer having like 10,000 critical business servers across the region, like different region. In
mhm,
that case, like how they are going to treat the costing for the premium support.
Okay, so see, there are certain concept which I have to explain you. See, there are some more topic. Okay, let me put a word here so that I'll cover it tomorrow. So Azure hierarchy, right? So when it comes to larger enterprise customer, as you said, there will be hundreds of subscription, thousands of resources that will be created, and Microsoft did not have anything above subscription 5 6 years back, but then they started understanding the importance of grouping multiple subscription with different criterias like development stage plans and production plan or premier plan or whatever, and then they have brought a way to group them and then do some kind of governance. And as well as when I say governance, it's not just bound to just management. Even a financial governance or a security governance or FinOps practice can be applied or done better using the management group strategy. Or there is another concept called organization through which also you can do it. Okay, so a customer is considered as a tenant, right? In because everyone is a tenant for Microsoft data center. So customer is a tenant for Microsoft, and you have multiple subscription which can be grouped into a concept called management group. Subscription has a lot of resource groups, and within resource group you have a lot of resources. So these are the four basic hierarchy that are like how the resources are getting organized and managed in Microsoft Azure. So you will get to understand these management level and how these grouping can help you to better secure, better manage, better govern, better track cost, or do a consolidated billing in a easier way. I'll help you with that. Okay, but for now, after this topic, you might get a little more understanding how you can manage cost, how you can manage billing, how you can manage access, how you can plan your governance, security, and compliance
Okay.
mechanisms.
Yeah. Stan. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Stan.
Then I have small doubt.
Yeah.
Actually, basically we are using an on-premises service to we show to anything is there in GoDaddy. So is there any option to is package of the web-based server and anything is there? I'm asking about Azure.
Yeah. Azure. See, Azure is not a domain register as of it. With that said,
Okay.
Microsoft also provides you a plan where you can go and purchase a domain for your app service. Okay, so let me just give you that. See, you are specifically talking about website, right? That is what GoDaddy gives you a particular domain along with a particular website. So you can buy a custom domain when you go and purchase a website or a web app or an app service in Microsoft. Whereas they are not a domain registrar as of it. See, GoDaddy is a domain registrar. Amazon is a domain registrar. They can give you or they can sell a domain for you. But then if you're going and running a website or an app service in Microsoft platform, definitely you can have a custom domain and you can get that domain purchased or you can buy that app service domain via Microsoft portal itself. But you cannot buy a domain to be used across virtual machines, across containers, across app services. It is only for your app services. You can buy the domain through Microsoft portal. Whereas if you ask in Amazon, they are a domain registrar. They can buy a domain that can be widely adopted and widely used. Look, don't
Okay.
go too beyond in this topic. Okay, for now, answer is Microsoft can also give you domains, but only for specific cases.
Okay. Now I am asking you, the billing also same or any difference is there?
No, billing is comparatively cheaper. Like if you are talking about GoDaddy website, see you are going and buying a domain from GoDaddy to host a website, right? So comparing to
Yes.
that, it will be cheaper. It will be mostly it will be cheaper.
Okay.
Like if you're
Thank you.
comparing hosting your website or it will be more or less the same cost, but there are chances it will be much cheaper in larger providers like Amazon and Microsoft.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Yep, no problem. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll continue tomorrow. We have a couple of more important
Stan,
topics. Yeah,
Stan, one
yeah,
question
yeah,
from my side.
yeah, sure.
Are we covering this well architect framework? You just a few
Yes,
minutes
yes,
back you
yeah.
mentioned.
Sure. I can help you how the entire process works, how we do well-architected review. See, well-architected reviews are generally done by people who are at the architect level or professional level, right? I can spend
Okay.
maybe 30 minutes explaining you how that is done, what are the different procedures involved, so that you get better
Okay.
understanding. But not now. It will take at least few weeks from now.
Okay. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stan. Yeah.
Stan Raja here. I have a question. Uh, so Microsoft will provide. So they are going to provide options, right? So for developer standard and professional directory. So only the support is going to have a difference, or is there any difference other than this Stan?
Not yeah. When I say support, see support here can be considered as three or four levels. Okay. See, I'll say operational support. Operational support is binded to priority issues and stuff. And we have architectural support, which can be well architected reviews or advisor recommendations and guidance. And next one is training support. Or for example, there is one more important thing that it is called launch support. Launch support means, for example, if there is a major event, I'll mute your line just for the better. Okay, so see, launch support is mainly for any specific event or if there is going to be a major sales or a specific thing, you can have dedicated architects and engineers supporting you for that particular demand or the peak usage or the event management or the launch support. So support is into different criterias: technical support, any operational issues. Technical support means you have some questions, you want to understand better about how to do that, how to get that configured and all those things. So technical support can be at asking for some technical help. Operational support means you have an application which has become operationally, which has got operational issues. There is something which is not working as expected or anticipated, and you need to get that fixed. And similarly, architectural support means you are doing a design, you are planning for creating a HLD or LLD or a technical implementation guide, for which you can also get support. Training support is to enhance the quality of the support resources, and the launch support is for a particular event or a particular peak usage, or if your application want to have more users, or it is going to have a lot of hits, then you can work with Microsoft. So support, all these supports are available for higher plans, or you get better SLAs of these support in professional direct and the premier plan.
Yeah, got it. Stan.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
apart from this, is there any other difference, Sam? So I'm asking like
Difference. Yeah.
options wise, they will
Option
enable.
wise, see, I told you, right, who can open the case in basic, right? So only the account owner can go and raise any account related or billing related issues. Whereas in developer plan, only one specific support engineer, whoever is entitled to do that, can raise cases. And in standard professional premier, you can go and raise unlimited cases. Anyone can call the support team. Anyone can talk to the technical account manager. If technical account manager is not responding, you can also go and escalate that to global account manager. So if you have a kind of architectural design ready, and if you want to review that with the technical account manager and the architect from Microsoft, you can expect them to be at your office. They can come, and then they can you can have a kind of collaboration meeting. You can create a war room kind of thing, and then discuss, decide on the way forward. So all these supports are available in premier, not in the lower plan. Design review, performance tuning, configuration tuning, implementation assistance, and whatnot. All these are available in professional direct and premier plans.
Got it. Stan. Based on the cost, they are providing the service.
Yeah, yeah. So the more you pay, then you get better support, better guidance, better response. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll be here for 2 more minutes. தமிழ்ல கேக்குறதுனா கேளுங்க. I'm done with the session for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. So thank you for joining. We'll catch up at 5:30 tomorrow.
Hello, Stan, this is Jagan.
Yes, Jagan.
இந்த ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் பிளான்ல இப்போ நம்ம டிக்கெட்ஸ் கிரியேட் பண்றோம்ல, ப்ரியாரிட்டி
ஆமாங்க.
1, 2 and 3, இதுக்கு
ஆமாங்க.
எதுவும் லிமிட்ஸ் இருக்குங்களா?
நம்பர் ஆஃப் கேசஸ்ங்களா?
நம்பர் ஆஃப் கேசஸ்.
ஓகே. எப்படி நடக்கும்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, நம்பர் ஆஃப் கேசஸ்க்கு வந்து அன்லிமிட்டெட் கேசஸ், அன்லிமிட்டெட் கான்டாக்ட் தான். பட் என்ன ப்ராப்ளம் வரும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, இப்போ வந்து ஒரு ஆர்கனைசேஷன் எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா, ஒரு சர்வீஸ் ப்ரொவைடர் ஆர்கனைசேஷன் எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா, நிறைய டிக்கெட் வந்து மறுபடியும் இப்போ வந்து நீங்க ஒரு 20 பேர் இருக்கீங்க, இல்ல 10 பேர் இருக்கீங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. யூ ஹேவ் 10 மெம்பர் டீம். If the same tickets are getting raised and again and again without your engineers creating a SOP or creating a knowledge base, then they will start escalating from Microsoft side. Microsoft will say, your guys are raising the same ticket again and again, and they're not trying to fix it on their own. We are seeing like 10 cases are raised for the similar issue in the last 1 month. So they will come with all analytics, all such things. But it's a kind of it's like it happens when your engineers are shuffling a lot. You will have a lot of attrition, or people are moving here and there. At that time you will get such challenges. But virtually there is no limit in the number of contacts or number of cases you are raising. But Microsoft has got a full report on what kind of cases you are reporting or you are raising, and they will come back with some analytics and so on. That might be a kind of uncomfortable situation for the leads or the support engineers, because they might be asked question, why you are raising the same case. We are seeing a similar case that was raised last week, and Microsoft has already provided a fix for that. You should have followed that, is what they will ask.
Oh, okay, sir. Thanks.
ஸ்டான் என்ன ஃபைன் என்ன போடுவாங்களா, எக்ஸ்ட்ரா காஸ்ட் என்ன போடுவாங்களா,
நோ நோ நோ
ரிப்பீட்டடா?
ஃபைன்ன்றதோட ஃபைன் அப்படின்றதோட இவங்க $29 $100 அவங்க பே பண்றாங்க. ஸோ ஒரு பீரியடுக்கு மேல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய இன்ஜினியர்ஸ் வந்து அவங்க டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னா தென் தே வில் ட்ரை டு ரைஸ் சம் கவுண்டர் ஆஃப் இது மாதிரி பண்ணுவாங்க, கேட்பாங்க. ஆக்சுவலா அது ரொம்ப ரேர் கேசஸ், பட் நடக்குது அதுவுமே.
புரியுது புரியுது. ஸோ அவங்க டைம் ரொம்ப ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்கன்றது
ஆமா ஆமா அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க,
சேம்
உங்க
கேசஸ்.
அக்கௌண்ட்டுக்கு உங்க ஸ்பெசிபிக் இதுக்கு நாங்க வந்து இந்த மாசம் மட்டும் 45 ஹவர்ஸ் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். வேறஸ் வந்து ஜென்ரலி வி ஆன் அன் ஆவரேஜ் வி ப்ரொவைட் ஒன்லி 20 ஹவர்ஸ் 30 ஹவர்ஸ் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ அது அகெயின் டிபெண்ட்ஸ் ஆன் கேஸ் டு கேஸ். சம்டைம்ஸ் யூ மைட் எண்ட் அப் பேயிங் லிட்டில் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா டு கன்வின்ஸ் தேர் கிளைம், ஆர் எல்ஸ் லைக் யூ கேன் ஜஸ்டிஃபை அண்ட் தென் மூவ் ஆன்.
ஸ்டான், மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் ஹைப்பர்-வி அப்படிங்கிறது விர்ச்சுவலைசேஷன் ஓஎஸ்ன்னு சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா? ஸோ அது வந்து எந்த ஹார்ட்வேர்ல ரன் ஆகும்? ஸோ ஓன் பில்ட் ஹார்ட்வேரா இல்ல சம்திங்?
இல்லைங்க, இட் கேன் ரன் ஆன் எனி ஹார்ட்வேர், எனி x86, எனி hardware like HP or IBM. It doesn't matter. Okay, it will run on all x86 architecture hardware. Yeah.
ஓகே, ஸோ டேட்டா சென்டர், அதாவது மைக்ரோசாஃப்டோட அஷ்யூர் டேட்டா சென்டர்ல மீன்ஸ் எனி கைண்ட் ஆஃப் ஹார்ட்வேர்ஸ் எல்லாமே வந்து அங்க இருக்கும் இல்லைங்களா? ஸோ விச் மீன்ஸ்
இருந்துட்டு இருந்தது அப்படிதான் வந்து எல்லாருமே அப்படிதான் பண்ணாங்க. அமேசான் இருந்துட்டும், அமேசான் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா AWS ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போது அவங்க கிட்ட அமேசான் லினக்ஸ் கிடையாது, அவங்க கிட்ட அரோரா டேட்டா பேஸ் கிடையாது, அவங்க கிட்ட எந்த ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட்டுமே கிடையாது. தே ஆர் புக் செல்லிங் கம்பெனி, தே ஆர் இ காமர்ஸ் வெப்சைட் கொடுத்துட்டு இருந்த ஆர்கனைசேஷன். பட் என்ன பண்ணாங்க, கொஞ்ச நாள் வந்து மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் இருந்து ஓஎஸ் வாங்கி ரீசேல் பண்ணி அதுல ப்ராஃபிட் மட்டும் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க. அது எவ்வளவு நாள் அவங்க கண்டினியூ பண்ண முடியும்? கண்டினியூ பண்ணாலும் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து ரெவென்யூ மார்ஜின் வந்து பெருசா இருக்காது. Then they came up with their own Aurora database or Amazon Linux கொண்டு வந்து அதுல அப்ளிகேஷன் ரன் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. அவங்க அவங்களுடைய ஓன் லினக்ஸ் ஆப்ரேட்டிங் சிஸ்டம்க்கு சப்போர்ட் கொடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் கொடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. தென் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா வந்து ரெவென்யூ ஃபுல்லாவே அவங்களுக்கு போக ஆரம்பிச்சது. சேம் கேஸ் ஃபார் ஹார்ட்வேர் ஆல்சோ. ஹெச்பிட்டேருந்து வாங்கி நம்ம ரன் பண்ணலாம், டெல்லிட்டேருந்து வாங்கி ரன் பண்ணலாம், இஎம்சிட்டேருந்து ஸ்டோரேஜ் வாங்கலாம், நெட்டாப்லேருந்து ஃபைல்ஸ் ஷேர்ஸ் ஃபைல் ஸ்டோரேஜ் வாங்கலாம். பட் ஓவர் த பீரியட் என்ன ஆகுது, இவங்களுக்கு ரெவென்யூ மார்ஜின், பெனிஃபிட் மார்ஜின் வந்து ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்கும். வேறஸ் இன் ஹவுஸா அசம்பிள் பண்ணா, இன் ஹவுஸா மேனுஃபேக்சர் பண்ணா தே வில் ஸ்டார்ட் ரீப்பிங் த ஃபுல் பெனிஃபிட். அதுதான் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்காங்க லாஸ்ட் 8 to 10 இயர்ஸா. லாட் ஆஃப் டேட்டா சென்டர்ஸ்ல அமேசானோடைய ஓன் ஹார்ட்வேர், மைக்ரோசாஃப்டோடைய ஓன் ஹார்ட்வேர், ஓன் அப்ளையன்சஸ் வந்து பார்க்க ஆரம்பிக்க முடியுது. பட் ஃபுல்லாவே இன்னும் வந்து அப்படிலாம் மாறல. ஈவன் தோ மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் வந்து கொடுத்தாலுமே தே ஆர் மோஸ்ட்லி அசம்பிளிங் திங்ஸ் இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் ஹெச்பி அசம்பிளிங் ஃப்ரம் ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் வெண்டார்ட்டேருந்து பண்ணி கொடுக்கறதுக்கு பதிலாக தே ஆர் ஆல்சோ ஆல்ரெடி ட்ரைங் டு டூ ஆன் தேர் ஓன். அது மாறிடுங்க. அது வந்து ஓவர் த பீரியட் தே வில் கெட் த ஃபுல் பெனிஃபிட் ஒன்லி வென் தே ஆர் டூயிங் இன் ஹவுஸ் மேனுஃபேக்சரிங். இன் ஹவுஸ்ல இன்ஜினியரிங் பண்ணி
அந்த ஹார்ட்வேர் நேம் என்னங்க? நேம்
ஓகே, சி ஹார்ட்வேருக்குன்னு ஒரு இது பிராண்டிங் கொடுக்கல, அது வந்து மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் ஹார்ட்வேர் தான். ஓகே, சி இப்போ அமேசான் எடுத்துக்கிட்டீங்கன்னா அவங்க வந்து இனிஷியலா அவங்கள்ட்ட வந்து ஹைப்பர்வைசர் இல்லை, அவங்க வந்து நைட்ரோ ஹைப்பர்வைசர்னு ஒரு பிராண்டிங் கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. வேற மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் ஆல்ரெடி வந்து ஹைப்பர்வைசருக்கு வந்து ஹைப்பர்வின்னு ஒன்று இருந்தது. ஒய் தே நீட் டு சேஞ்ச் த நேம். ஸோ அது ஹைப்பர்வி தான், இன்னைக்குமே அது ஹைப்பர்வி தான்.
சரி, ஓகே ஓகே.
And this is Nimal here. One question.
Yes, Nimal.
Normally in any production environment, okay, எந்த client எடுத்துக்கிட்டாலும், if we are migrating from on-prem system to cloud அப்படின்னா, do we try to create a DR environment? அந்த DR environment ஒரு environment create பண்ணுவோமா, இல்ல we are not supposed to create that because we have that reliability and if there is any issues the other zonal இருந்து நம்ம வந்து அப் பண்ணிடலாம் அப்படிலாம் இருக்கும்போது is it required normally?
ஸோ நிமல், அதுக்கு வந்து ஆன்சர் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வி நீட் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் த ஆர்பிஓ ரெக்யர்மெண்ட், ஆர்டிஓ ரெக்யர்மெண்ட்ஸ்லாம் வந்து அந்த அப்ளிகேஷனுக்கு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணணும். சர்டைன் ஆர்பிஓ ஆர்டிஓ கேன் பி மெட் வித்தின் அ ரீஜன், வித்தின் த சேம் டேட்டா சென்டர், வித்தின் த சேம் அவைலபிலிட்டி ஜோன். பண்ண முடியாத சுச்சுவேஷன்ல நம்ம சொல்லணும் யூ ஹாவ் டு கோ வித் மல்டிபிள் டேட்டா சென்டர். அண்ட் அகெயின் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இஃப் தே ஆர் எக்ஸ்பெக்டிங் a particular application to be running even after a complete country outage or region outage and அவங்களுக்கு வேணும்னு எதிர்பார்க்கறாங்க அப்படின்னா then we need to give them DR location. நம்மளாம் வந்து we cannot go with assumption for every application நம்ம பண்ண முடியாது. We need to talk to the business owner. Application owner has to decide whether their application can undergo DR exercise. அதெல்லாம் வந்து case to case மாறும் அது ஆக்சுவலா based on RPO, RTO and business application requirement.
Okay. So normally environment வந்து they also have that. If it is a more critical application அப்படின்னா அவங்க DR environment இன்னொரு ஜோனர்ல தூக்கி வச்சிருவாங்க, இல்ல இன்னொரு ஜியோகிராபிக்ல வச்சிருவாங்க. கரெக்ட்டுங்களா?
At the data level by default, yes. ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்கு நீங்க ஒரு டேட்டா ஸ்டோர் பண்றீங்க பப்ளிக் கிளவுட்ல அப்படின்னா it generally gets stored in 3 different physical data centers. அந்த மாதிரி
அதுதான் நான்
நடக்கும்.
வரேன். நம்ம வந்து if I'm wasting someone's time na, you finish it off the question, I will wait for some time and to answer this one.
No, go ahead. I mean, I'm done for today.
Okay.
Maybe whatever discussion we are having, like I mean, you go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Okay. The same thing only I'm also having. Okay. ஒரு பப்ளிக் கிளவுட்ல வைக்கிறோம், நம்ம டேட்டா வந்து இங்க ரெப்ளிகேட் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கோம். Infra is taken care by Azure or even AWS, எவனாலும் எடுத்துக்கலாம். அந்த டைம்ல if something happens, if any disaster happens, they are ready to take it up from the other server, other region or other zone ல இருந்து எடுத்து பிக்கப் பண்ணிடுவானுங்க. நான் இதுக்காக வந்து எனக்கு வந்து on-prem systemல I had a dev environment, I had a UAT environment, I had a production environment, a DR environment. DR வந்து ரெண்டு லொகேஷன்ல வச்சிருந்தேன். in US ல வந்து ஒன்னு ஈஸ்ட்ல வச்சிருந்தேன், ஒன்னு வெஸ்ட்ல வச்சிருந்தேன். சரிங்களா? It is a left and shift method la we are trying to move it to Azure. We already moved, and client வந்து இதுக்கு DR வச்சிருந்தல 3 environment 4 environment வச்சிருந்தல 4 environment கொண்டு வாங்க. We try to replicate it. DR environment ஒன்னு வச்சிருக்கோம், but still இப்போ எனக்கு என்னன்னா இவன் வந்து cloudல வந்து ப்ரொடக்ஷனும் ஒரே இதுல தான் இருக்கு, டிஆரும் ஒரே தான் இருக்கு. there is no point of having a DR, right? DR environment தேவையில்லை இப்போ இங்க.
True. காஸ்ட் தான் டபுள் ஆகும். அங்க ஆன் ப்ரெமைசஸ்ல we had to take care of that because எல்லாமே வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு பிசிக்கலா ஒரு டேட்டா சென்டர் தான். இங்க மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட்ல வந்து அவங்க ரீஜியன் சொன்னாங்க அப்படின்னா இட் இஸ் இன்டர்கனெக்டட் மல்டிபிள் பிசிக்கல் டேட்டா சென்டர். நாளைக்கு கொஞ்சம் அதை பத்தி புரிய ஆரம்பிக்கும்.
அதே ரீஜியன்ல டிஆர் வச்சிருக்கு, அது அடி வாங்க தான் போகுது.
ஆமா இல்ல இன்னும் கொஞ்சம்
நாளைக்கு நான் சொல்லிருக்கேன்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஹாஃப் தான் இருப்பேன், பிரேக்குக்கு அப்புறம் சர்ச்சிங் பண்ணனும்னு. சோ அந்த டைம் இருக்காது, அதனால கேட்டேனா. ஓகே,
no worries. First half நான் உங்களுக்கு கவர் பண்ணி தரேன் நிமல். Okay, ஏன்னா first we have to talk about this topic, geographical presence, which is a very important topic. Okay, we'll try and cover it out.
Okay sir, thank you.
No problem. Okay then, thank you team. நாளைக்கு நம்ம will come back and we'll continue with Azure geographical presence, Azure உடைய purchasing options பத்தி பார்க்கலாம், then Azure உடைய hierarchy பார்க்கலாம். இது எல்லாமே வந்து core Azure உடைய discussion topics. Okay, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, bye.